let yourself go in the current. Only rise and fall as the angles allow. Finally make a break for the surface. Breathe in the sweet air of the here and now. Wake up in the arms of the earth, fully present at the second birth. Well, the first thing you learn is how strong you can be if you have to. And the next thing you learn is how cold it can get at night. Let the waves break where they have to break. Let the people make ready to approach the throne. Two are gonna stumble along the way. One is gonna go up alone. Fire's gathering on a distant peak. Let me get some sleep before I speak. Well, the first thing you learn is how far you can go with no gas in the tank. And the next thing you learn is how cold it can get at night. Lightly roll, but this much I know. The first thing you learn will be the last thing to go. camp as close as we can to shore. Nobody thought to carry a compass. It's not the 19th century anymore. On the third day you said you felt sick. I could hear the clock tick. Well, the first thing you learn is that there's always a clock ticking somewhere. And the next thing you learn is how cold it can get at night. Well, the first thing you learn is how strong you can be if you have to. So strong. And the next thing you learn is how cold it can get at night. The next thing you learn is how cold it can get at night. And the next thing you learn is how cold it can get at night. The next thing you learn is how cold it can get at night. And the next thing you learn is how cold it can get at night.
Hello, welcome in everybody. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for those of you who were patient with my vacation. It was really fun. I'm the only one that caught any fish. I cooked it on the last day. I ate those lane snappers. It was delicious. It was very worth it. Welcome in everybody. Welcome in Lex. Welcome in Lily. Good to see you guys here. So today we do have a couple things to go over content-wise, and then if you would like as well, let me actually pull this up. I hate that when I'm going to go pull up my stream elements real quick. Anyways, point is that if today, I have a stream elements link I'm going to pull up in a minute. If today we get $25 worth of donations, or like the next couple days streaming, I will be going over the Empath Chan Destiny situation. I kind of want to go over it on Kick only, because there is a lot of shit that needs to be censored when it comes to, not, like, a lot of people have been covering the Darius situation, right? Those who don't know, the streamer Destiny, Stephen Bonnell, is hanging out and associating with this e-girl named Empath Chan. Those of you who don't know about Empath Chan, she was an R9K e-girl kind of, attention-seeking person for a very long time. She's faked suicide a couple times. She has a couple dedicated orbiters, but typically she's seen as fairly cringe. She has videos. She tried to deny that it was her, but she does have videos where she's literally spitting on people for money. She's been banned off Fansly. She's been banned off OnlyFans. And now Destiny has recently been seen taking her to his Unfuck America event, which is supposed to be like it originally was like an answer to Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's events, but now it's kind of a little bit in bad taste to say that necessarily. So at this point, it's kind of just like a, hey, we're trying to reach out to the youth as like centrist libs kind of thing. So it really does kind of hurt their cause when they're actively inviting people who, while at the event, will say slurs to, like, other people there who are known for like I said, engaging in active harassment online for money. It's not a great look. So if you do want to donate today, let me grab that link real quick. There it goes. So if you would like to donate to Duckbringer on Stream Elements, or if you would like to donate bits on Twitch, or if you would like to, I don't know if I have I don't think I have super chats yet on YouTube. If you would like to subscribe if you haven't already, we're trying to get to that. It's just an easier way for me to get money. But for now, if you donate on Stream Elements, I will see that, receive that, and it will go towards just doing a Kick stream to where we just go over a bunch of insane shit, like absolutely insane, degenerate shit that this woman has been up to since 2020. Anyways, so today we're gonna get to the content. First is first, and that is Taylor Lorenz put out a video. Let me first had this put up. There we go. All right. So we've got essentially here a tweet from Taylor Lorenz. This was in response to the Emiru situation at TwitchCon. Those of you who don't know, there is a popular streamer, Emiru, who is like just like a very small, sweet person who does kind of like gamer adjacent, anime adjacent content. She was doing a live meet and greet, and a fan or a stalker was able to get past several, I guess, security checkpoints and a lot of people to walk right up to her and hug her and attempt to kiss her on the mouth. And it was kind of crazy at the time. You guys can look it up if you want. A lot of people have played the clip. I don't have it pulled up, but either way. So Taylor Lorenz had a response to that, which is basically, so this person said here, now that TwitchCon is over, I will give a couple thoughts and go more into them on stream once I return. Keep in mind, it was my first TwitchCon security. Holy fuck, non-existent. The amount of incel freak shit towards women I've seen this week is fucking ridiculous. I promise you, if you just be a normal person, women would like you more. IRL streaming, specifically talking about clip farmers, that shit is so corny and unethical as fuck. We saw a lot of that. That's kind of what we're going to get into on the kick stream as well. IRL streaming is good and has brought a lot of good, but you can see how it can easily be ruined with this shift in streaming right now. Now I will say I've had so much fun and an amazing TwitchCon experience with my friends, but looking from a different POV, I could see how this con was miserable, and for a lot of people, it's looking bad for next year for it to return. If y'all do at Twitch, y'all got a lot to work on. So that was Phenom, and in response to that, Taylor said, "You guys all need to start living in reality. It's simply false to say that security at TwitchCon was non-existent when it was so insanely strict that journalists couldn't even do their jobs, and disabled people were forced to remove masks, etc. I'm making a longer video on this." And what we're going to look into today is essentially Taylor's longer video on this, where she also has a interview with Dan Clancy that we're going to go over. I've watched a little bit of it. I didn't go through the interview part and everything like that, just kind of the subtext to it. So we're gonna see. I'm gonna try not to just relentlessly shit on Taylor here. I have a little bit of a bias against her for things like the Roblox article, her response to the Hassan drama. I feel like she jumped to take a side for Hassan way too quickly, and she ended up making herself and Hassan look bad in the process. So yeah, we're gonna get into this today. All right, let me pull this up. I need to make macros for switching my browser output. Or just like a lot of different scenes. I might need to do that as well. Anyways, so the name of the video today is going to be "They Do Not Care About Violence Against Women." This was released 12 hours ago by Taylor Lorenz.
It's not just that there's no deterrent to this behavior, but it's actually rewarded by the platform and socially by other men.
Last weekend, popular cosplay Twitch streamer Emiru was assaulted at a meet and greet during TwitchCon. A man cut across several meet and greet lines and attempted to
I don't hate women. I don't hate women, I don't hate men. I'm a gender non-essentialist. I hate certain people. I don't think that people's bad traits are inherently tied to their gender. I think sometimes it's tied to specific socialization rituals that are tied to gender, but no.
grab her for a kiss.
This is Taylor Lorenz. She looks like an HR lady. She looks like she's doing like POV. She looks like she's doing jab. Fucking.
As she tried
I'm not going to get into this right now.
to push him away. Her security guard quickly intervened and pushed the man off, but the man exited the building and was never restrained. The incident was obviously a catastrophic failure when it comes to keeping women creators safe. The man should have never been allowed to walk away after what he did, and it's unclear why her security guard didn't restrain the man after pushing him off. It's also unclear why TwitchCon security or the police on the scene didn't step in and attempt to halt the man from leaving. The man was eventually caught hours after the incident, and Emiru is currently pressing charges. She said, quote, "He was allowed to walk away from my meet and greet, and I didn't hear he was caught until hours after he attacked me. It felt like this only happened because of my manager pressing for it, not because TwitchCon staff present thought it was a big deal." All of this has raised tons of questions about security protocols at TwitchCon and what should be done going forward to make the convention more safe. Even before TwitchCon began this year, high-profile streamers including Cutie Cinderella, Valkyrie, and others declined to attend the event over safety concerns. After the Emiru incident, tons of big content creators began piling on Twitter, pushing out-of-context clips, attempting to show lax security at the event, and calling for Twitch CEO Dan Clancy's resignation. Of course, most of these people...
Okay, so is she gonna like make a case for how that wasn't the case? Because like I said, we have proof that security at least was not like fit for like the threats at hand. Also, welcome in Salty, welcome in Thorns, good to see you.
Actually don't give a shit about women's safety. They're just opportunists.
And yeah, she was attacked, by the way. If somebody that you don't know like intrudes upon your person and tries to like put a smooch on your lip, yeah, that's kind of like because if somebody intrudes into your space that far, it doesn't matter if they didn't hurt you in that situation. They easily could have, man.
And we're going to get into all that. But why am I talking about all of this on Free Speech Friday? I think it's a good example of how more surveillance and security theater doesn't inherently...
Every day is Free Speech Friday.
Keep people safe. And I think it shows the significant barriers women face as content creators and how relentless abuse and harassment silences women and prevents them from speaking out and expressing themselves. To discuss all of this, I have Kat Tenbarge here. Kat is one of the top journalists covering gender-based harassment and abuse. And today we're going to break down exactly what went down at TwitchCon, why you shouldn't listen to a lot of the loudest voices online, and what can actually be done to keep women safe on the internet and off. Kat.
I really hope that when we get into the Dan Clancy interview part of this video, that she gets more into the, like, it's not even necessarily against women. It's just generally these creators are not treated with enough security. Like, there's not a process when it comes to that. Like, we live in a more and more polarized world, and the level of like vetting when it comes to meet and greets, and apparently like Emery was being forced to do this meet and greet to keep like another engagement at Twitch. Like, that needs to be considered. Fuck.
Welcome.
Thanks so much for having me.
So you weren't at TwitchCon. I wish you were there. But I feel like just to start off, I want to give people a sense of what TwitchCon was like. And then I kind of want to compare it to other conventions that you and I have both been at. Because I feel like we both cover these large events and conventions a lot and attend this stuff. So I think a lot of people have seen a lot of misinformation going around. And I want to explain kind of the way things went down. So I would say this security at this convention was stricter than any other convention I've been to. And we'll get into why that doesn't make things safer. But it was very strict in the sense that like you had to have a wristband, you had to scan in to get to different areas. They were very strict about maintaining that. There was this video online that claimed to show someone bypass.
Okay, wait a second though. Like, okay, so getting into different areas, they might have had different areas like price locked for certain content. That's why they had like the whole fucking wristband thing. This is very, very basic at any sort of convention, like any sort of shitty little anime con that you go to. They're gonna make sure that you get wristbands checked at the door, and they're not perfect about it. Like, people do fake it and shit like that. It is just a color system, and they change the color every day. But that system has been in place for years. That's not enough. What do you mean? This isn't strict. That's crazy. Okay, she has to qualify this some way to say that this is strict.
Passing the wrist scanning system. In fact, that's not what that video shows. I reached out to the company about how those machines work. That video actually shows the person scanning and it turning orange, which meant that that person was a credentialed +1. So it actually showed the system working, but it was pretty intense. I mean, I couldn't even get into the venue when I got there the first day initially because I hadn't passed a background check. And every single person that registered for the event had to go through this like background check security review, essentially to make sure that they weren't on a known stalker list or had sort of criminal records.
That registered for the event? Are you talking about like, okay, so if they had stricter guidelines for press than they did for just general con goers, that's interesting. I wonder if there's a reason for that, if there's like a higher level of access that journalists, for example, might get that requires them to go through a background check. That's not strict at all. So once again, like, Taylor might be viewing this entirely from the perspective of a journalist and not actually understand the con-goer level of, like, vetting.
It's things like that. So I do think that it was very, quote unquote, secure, even more so than any other
God, I hate this bitch sometimes.
Convention that I've been to, where I think journalists and a lot of people have a lot of like
Also, Salty, let me know if you want to call in, by the way. Or, I think you said you were streaming today, right?
like a lot more free roam. I was in the content creator space myself with Twitch comms down there. And like I saw people even getting stopped, featured creators being stopped and asked questions and things like that. I'm curious, like your perception from the outside. I'm sure you've seen a lot of the discourse online, but like how would you say it compared to other conventions from what you saw?
I think just from like a technological perspective alone, there were more measures in place at this convention than any other convention that I've ever been to. And that includes conventions for YouTube. It includes like VidCon and Playlist Live, as well as like anime and comic cons and other types of conventions, even concerts and stuff. Like you have seen sort of this industry of security technology grow. And this to me is sort of like looking at sort of even what I was just seeing in viral videos. I'm like, they don't usually have this type of stuff at these types of venues.
Yeah, the whole energy was like very kind of tense around it. I mean, there were these big
I was trying to look it up real quick, but there's a video of a guy literally just posing as a streamer, by the way, and walking past several layers of security just saying that he was a certain guy. And I don't know how you fake that necessarily.
female streamers that chose
I had many chores. No worries, yeah. You like to stream when no one's awake. Listen, late night is great. Like, all of us night owls appreciate some good chill gaming content, and you're great for that, Salty.
not to go because of
But yeah, if you'd like to join in on any of the segments we have later, let me know.
concerns around safety. It had the vibe to me of VidCon after the Christina Grimmie murder, where this YouTuber was murdered by a fan, and YouTube and VidCon really cracked down the next year, where they sort of started to realize, like, we really need to protect talent. It was significantly more secure than certainly Playlist Live, which we were both at a while ago. And I'm just speaking purely from influencer events, because I think that those are that sort of engender a certain type of fandom.
So how did this guy get through? How is it that this guy got through? He did physically assault Emaru. I don't care if you don't want to consider it assault because like actual like physical aggression wasn't involved. If somebody intrudes on your space, I consider that physical aggression, by the way. So like all of this shit happened in spite of all the security, and how is that possible exactly? I don't see why she's like so intent on defending Twitch in this.
It was the most secure, quote unquote, influencer event that I've been at. When I toured Twitch's security center the day after the Emiru incident, I was struck by the surveillance of it all. First of all, not only did they have police officers, plainclothes officers, like constantly, throughout the venue, and security officers all over, but
they didn't seem to have any at a meet and greet, or at least the ones that were at the meet and greet. They treated it entirely unseriously. They didn't go after the guy. Like, they might have caught the guy at the door, apparently, because they trespassed him, but fuck.
Had just this huge surveillance infrastructure. So they had 92 cameras set up in addition to all the security cameras in every single corner of the convention hall. And then they had every single live streamer. If you went live from TwitchCon, they had your stream pulled up, basically like geofenced the whole area and like pulled in every single stream on these massive like 1984 style monitors where they had, I literally think it was probably thousands of streams. Every single stream had like the person's name, whether they were partnered or not, like some information, and then just like the videos playing. And then they had dozens and dozens of analysts like sitting around analyzing, replaying footage, looking at people. I don't know if they were doing facial recognition or not, but it was certainly like they were zooming in on things, looking at social, monitoring it all. What struck me is that like they had essentially
streamers. Okay. So they were keeping an eye on the IRL streamers, so they were focusing on like known elements, but they weren't focusing on like actual on the ground people. Like, I know that a lot of IRL streamers are actively like streaming themselves doing crime, but that doesn't mean that you can just fucking like put all your goddamn resources into that shit.
Deputize
like
these live streamers, IRL streamers, which are primarily men, to like go around and surveil the
Which are primarily men.
convention. And the argument was sort of, well, look, we have so much surveillance footage. This is how, like, this gives us extra monitoring. And it just, of course, showed to me, of course, surveillance does not mean safety. It just means more surveillance, especially
Yeah, true.
when the people, doing the surveillance are these
True, Taylor. Good point.
troll live streamers. I think that was a huge difference between this convention and other conventions that I've been at as well. Aside from maybe 2015 VidCon, or maybe it was 2016 when Meerkat, remember like Meerkat and Periscope and everything came out? That was a year like a lot of people were live streaming, not in the same way. This was like true 1984 style. Like every single person was live streaming, and the convention was overrun with these IRL streamers, which is a category that has skyrocketed over the past year.
Yes, like this culture of IRL streaming, I think it's so important to point out that it is not done with like women's safety as like an interest. In fact, it's oftentimes the exact opposite. So much of this type of streaming and what you see succeed on this platform and elsewhere is actually just like harassing women, which is a really
or women harassing the IRL streamers, as we might see if we get a kick stream.
like interesting juxtaposition with like we need more surveillance, when so often surveillance in itself is to the detriment of like women and marginalized people.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I mean,
true.
I was struck when I was looking at this giant tile of like screens and streams is that they were on mute. You know, I'm sure that you could click in and hear what was being said if you wanted to zoom in on certain people. But to me, it seemed very the sort of surveillance was optimized for like physical security rather than the type of security that I would argue matters a lot as well, which is like, it is related to physical security, but it is like, you know, the hate and harassment and abuse. And we'll get into that.
Wait, so they were monitoring the IRL streamers is what that thing just referenced, right? And so they were in this case, but that guy wasn't an IRL streamer. It was physical security that was lacking in that case.
So let's talk about the
And I think physical security, like just like people looking alive, not AI, not robots, like scanning everybody for wrongthink or some shit like that. Also, women can't be the harasser duck, they are the weaker sex.
Rue situation. Because I think this
I mean, usually
was the most clear security breach. Like, I just want to be clear.
when they alt and use the N-word, maybe not.
I'll say it again. I think this was such a catastrophic failure. It was horrible what happened to her. It was completely unacceptable. It's a nightmare. I've been assaulted on the job before. It's awful. I completely empathize with what the threats that people like her have to deal with. The fact that she was assaulted and it was her security guard that stepped in and not Twitch's security or the police that were around, that Twitch's security and the police just let him walk out of the venue was absurd. I think talent probably should have been.
And like, how did that happen? How is the communication so poor with Twitch's security, like TwitchCon's security? That it happened, a whole bunch of people witnessed it. Not only her bodyguard, but a lot of like Twitch staff were immediately over there, and you could see them like kind of like dicking around with each other. Why was that immediately not communicated? And somebody who was trained to actually go after that guy and physically detained him, who was authorized to use some sort of force. Because that's the thing, you have to have people stationed strategically that have authorization for use of force to cover your ass legally. That's what they did not do here. It doesn't matter how many people you have watching if you don't actually have somebody who can go intervene if something physically happens. And if you're gonna fucking trespass people that do their job effectively when they do actually physically intervene, yeah, this is gonna fucking happen. People are gonna understand that they can go up there and all they can do is walk away. Oh, and now I'm banned from TwitchCon, but at least I got to fucking kiss my waifu and like go home and freaking Minecraft myself.
9 tables with security guards on each side. That's what they do for a lot of big celebrities at like Comic-Con and other events. When I did my book tour, I had to be behind a table at public events because
I think when it comes to like, okay, if you're going to be appearing and making yourself accessible to the public, yeah, I think there should be like the highest level of security. Like that's the one time, if all I want to do is have a famous person sign something of mine or like give me a hug or like hear out the thing that they really inspired me to do, I fully fucking expect the highest level of security. I don't care if I'm in like freaking like Nazi Germany, like in that setting, okay? It's fine. I want a fucking autograph from this extremely popular person that a lot of people probably have a parasocial unhealthy relationship with. I understand. Jeez. I think you're just fucking with me, but yeah.
I had so many threats and people threatening to harm me, but it seemed like this was just like a massive lapse in, keeping women safe at the convention.
100%. And I also think that really goes to show, and this is reflective of just like policing and security in general, but this rhetoric that like men in the vicinity will protect women, this is a perfect example of why that is not the case. It was her personal security guard.
listen. The guy that was going up to talk to her is a VTuber. I do not know if I will call him a man.
Who stepped in, but you do have all of
He is
these
an
men who are
anime
tasked
kin.
with security standing around who just did not intervene, and that is not irregular. Like, that is a reflection of what happens when women go to the police and report that they have been assaulted.
I don't think this is necessarily a misogyny thing. I think this is just a communication thing. So if you have a set guideline for what people are allowed to do, right? Like, if people have to ask permission to, like, an event organizer, like, hey, is it okay if I hug this person when I go up to them? Like, that should be a totally expected thing. Like, I met Johnny Young Bosch, okay? And I fucking remember meeting him, and, like, yeah, I did feel kind of, like, weird. Like, this is a very affluent person. This is somebody who was voice acted for, like, all of my favorite shows as a kid. Like, if somebody was like, hey, we're gonna make sure, like, don't put your hands in your pockets or anything like that, I wouldn't be like, oh man, this is fucking authoritarian and shit like that. I'd be like, yeah, these people have probably a lot of weirdos fucking after them. I should understand to do this. So if staff can't communicate to each other, hey, this is the guidelines for what we're going to expect of our guests when they're interacting with the talent, right? And if they deviate from that, something is going wrong, and we need to, like, at least give them a warning. And then if they don't stop when we give them a loud warning, we need to immediately physically intervene. If that's not communicated to the security staff, it's not even a misogyny thing. I just think they're not going to intervene. They're not going to know, like, what's acceptable. Like, people have friends, people have, you know, like, you have to have guidelines for shit like that.
Or that they are being harassed. Like, it is not taken seriously. And I think that this just really does go to show why putting people in these positions, like men protecting women, it doesn't play out in real life. If anything, putting more men, more security in the situation can become more of a danger to women, because you can't necessarily trust those specific individuals who have been tasked with, like, security.
I was so appalled when I heard that Emmy Rue said that they were, like, laughing or sort of laughing off the incident. Like, I can understand if she was laughing because she has been through trauma, and often the trauma response would be to kind of, like, laugh it off and downplay it. But the people around her should have recognized how egregious and terrifying that was. And
I'm so sure that the other people around her were, like, not nervous for themselves, but were probably nervous because, holy fuck, we just dropped the goddamn ball. But also, yeah, it just shows, like, a lack of communication. It shows a lack of fucking professionalism.
there's a few things.
Yeah, so as usual, all the men were the problem. It's just that men can't be trusted to protect women. No, men can be trusted to protect women perfectly. The fucking bodyguard that protected Emmy Rue the first time at TwitchCon, they got fucking what's the word? They got banned from this TwitchCon, right? He was a man that protected Emmy Rue, and guess what? Because he was hired because there were clear guidelines for what he was supposed to do. And apparently he deviated from what Twitch wanted him to actually physically intervene and do in the case of somebody, like, violating, you know, I guess what was expected in a meet and greet, right? And they fucking penalized him for it.
Things that happen too that I think show why more security does not mean more safety. First of all, this man who assaulted her was not a known entity.
So, AI-guided security systems that rely on video monitoring are not as important as clear guidelines on the ground, like physical protection, people communicating about possible threats that are, like, you know, coming up to these sorts of people. This is a very we've been doing this for centuries. I feel like this is a simple concept.
He wasn't on her, like, stalker
It's not like misogyny is the problem here. This is so stupid.
list. You know, this was just a bad actor who went through the security checks. He didn't have, you know, seemingly any sort of record that would have been flagged. He was able to buy a ticket. He was able to, cut across some lines, but
Yeah, because, like detecting thought crime in people is not how we should fucking police. It's a matter of we should have clear guidelines that we communicate to people. Hey, you're interacting, you're getting very physically close and having a special interaction with a popular streamer, okay? You have to act right. If you do not participate in this decorum, yeah, we might physically intervene and tackle you. You need to fucking know that. I feel like this is not even new.
people cut across lines. That doesn't inherently mean that they're going to, like, violate someone.
Yes, it does. Okay? Yes, it does. And it doesn't matter. You should at least stop them. You should body block them. You don't have to fucking tackle to them to the ground. But you should at least, okay, if you're hired as security, you should intervene and physically put yourself between the fucking streamer and the person that is violating the queue, that is not like, that is not understand where they are. Maybe they're confused. Maybe they just don't know where they are. That's why you shouldn't, like, you shouldn't physically harm them immediately. But you should at least intervene. Yes. I hate this woman.
I think the point is that, like, he had a badge. He was a registered ticket holder. He had every right. Say he had waited.
It doesn't matter. He walked past. He walked diagonally across several lines of people that were waiting in line to fucking meet their streamer. Okay? He was not authorized. He didn't have, like, a security badge. He didn't have a staff badge. He had a fucking...
in line to do that. That
streamers also need to learn self-defense. And if a venue doesn't let you arm yourself, or at least have a bodyguard that can actually meaningfully defend you against somebody, then do not go to that venue.
would have been just as bad. I don't think you can know people's intention. And that's what's so scary, right? Is that, like, somebody could just wait in line and have the intention to harass or attack.
Yeah, but that's not what happened here. The guy didn't wait in line. He didn't walk up. And even then, like I said, if somebody is waiting in line, it just happens at several events that I've been to, I've witnessed, where they're like, hey, here's what you're allowed to ask. Like, don't do this, don't do that, don't get too close, don't go past this barrier. They're usually pretty fucking clear about it.
Attack a woman, and they could do that.
Maybe not always, but, like, that's what I'm saying. When it comes to, if you're able to physically get close to the streamer, right? Because it should have to be something where there's a clear yes, I say yes to them hugging me, right? And if somebody just walks right up and hugs them like they fucking know them, no, that hasn't been agreed upon. You can assume that.
Right?
Yes. And I even saw someone suggest that, like, as an increased measure of security, they could have, like, a security guard walk each individual person up to do the meet and greet. But again, would that have stopped him from...
Yes! And it doesn't have to be like somebody that, like I said, the person that addresses the attendee and says, hey, here's the guidelines, here's what you're allowed to do with the streamer. That person interacting with each individual guest, walking them up to the streamer, and then standing there next to them, right? That's enough. That's enough. That would be a huge improvement, because then the person could ask as they're walking up, hey, is it okay if I do this? And then the person could turn to the streamer and say, is it okay if they do that? And then if they see somebody violating that, guess what? The person that's walking up can then do a fucking signal. They can flag to the person that's authorized to use force. It doesn't have to be a security guard. It just has to be an attendee. Or not an attendee, it has to be a fucking staff member.
Assaulting her? No. And I feel like this also sort of, like, reflects this kind of underlying desire to control other people and to be able to, like, predict when someone is going to become violent. Like,
it's not a matter of control. This is not control. This is contract. This is not control. This is contract. This is establishing contract. Having somebody of authority intervene between the rando that all they had to fucking do was buy a goddamn ticket and not have any major fucking offenses, right? All they had to do was do that. Yeah, having a point of contact between that person and the streamer. Oh, this is making me crazy. I thought this was gonna be, I watched like the first 20 minutes of this, and I swear to God, I thought it was gonna be fucking reasonable. And I'm so disappointed.
To be able to respond to things in advance of them happening, which at a very basic level just is not possible. And I think a lot of people's reaction of, like, we need more security, we need, like, more people out there, I understand where it comes from. It comes from, like, a primal fear of not being able to know when you're in danger and not being able to, like, keep yourself out of danger 100% of the time, which is also where security theater comes from.
I mean, I just think, like you said, it's so scary because
Okay, wait, I have to go back. I have to reprocess that. Where is the...
A primal fear of not being able to know when you're in danger and not being able to, like, keep yourself out of danger 100% of the time, which is also where security theater comes from.
I mean, I just think, like you said, it's so scary.
What is security theater?
Because I think there were tables available for the creators. Most creators stand in front. They're incentivized to give their fans hugs. When I talk to other creators about like, hey, why weren't you behind a table with 2 security guards? They're like, well, my fans want to take selfies. Like influencers especially are encouraged, and both of us have written so much about this, like encouraged to develop these parasocial fandoms. If you seem inaccessible, I mean, look at the response to Cutie Cinderella and the other female streamers that decided not to go. They were lambasted and dragged through the mud. Caroline Kwan had a security guard with her and people were attacking her and criticizing her like, oh, who do you think you are? You know, you need security. Like, yes, she does. I was even nervous myself. I had 2 men travel to TwitchCon specifically to confront me, you know, because of some beef that they have perceived, you know, with me and some streamer. I have no streamer beef, but like, you know, whatever, because I'm talked about on these people's channels. I have a very well-known stalker who constantly tries to attend events that I'm at. Like, I had to be escorted out of a VidCon panel a couple years ago by 4 security guards. Right after the panel, I wasn't even allowed to at the front of VidCon that year because I had a streamer fan actually threatening to assault me. And like I said,
I mean, I will say this is like there's an increased risk of this towards women who are in media, who are streamers. Like definitely it's something that's a lot higher of a risk even at a smaller size for streamers like this when it comes to stalkers. Like, yeah, there's a lot more chances for people to develop unhealthy relationships with streamers, I think, with women, just because of the way that some people, I guess, internalize like romantic affection, but it happens with men too.
been assaulted on the job. So I just
Security theater refers to security measures that make people feel safer without actually improving real safety or security. Yeah, I looked that up, and that's what I was wondering. So yeah, security theater, I guess, would be if there's an increase in like AI surveillance, if there's an increase in like the actual presence of security guards, but they don't have an actual process for vetting or like preventing any sort of these things from happening. Yeah, that's an appropriate use of security theater.
just say all that to say that like you and I both know what
Also,
it's like,
welcome in,
not
Puppy.
to mention all the harassment that we receive online. Like we know what it's like to suffer this sort of gender-based violence. And I think that like, if we want to talk about what keeps women safe, it's not just like more cops standing around doing nothing. Like that is not going to prevent this stuff. It's not more like face scanning or whatever. It is fundamentally changing the culture of what's permissible and acceptable, because that man knew that he could walk up, do that, and walk out. And he was right. Look at some of the other appalling behavior that we saw at TwitchCon, where these men, these IRL streamers were raiding.
I mean, I don't know if he knew, it's just that he did it, you know? He kept walking past layers of security, and then he went up and did it, and he got all the way to it. So, I don't know.
Women, degrading women,
Like, there were several people that could have noticed that he was violating the queue that was established and stuff like that. There were several people that could have noticed and intervened prior.
harassing and abusing women. We had featured creators like Neon, right, saying the most misogynistic stuff, harassing women. These are partnered content creators, right? These are people that Twitch has like given the seal of approval to.
Yeah, these are people like, I think about how Neon has like a publicist, and I've received PR pitches over the past week. Like, do you want to interview this guy?
He was with Iggy Azalea.
Exactly. And it's like, this to me echoes so many of the issues that people don't take seriously. People don't take gendered violence seriously in general. And there's this idea that like online harassment, which directly escalates and leads to these incidences, is not taken seriously. And this idea that like police protect women, which is just so far removed from reality, which is,
I would say the problem with online harassment is mostly that we don't have legal frameworks for like prosecuting and keeping track of it and actually making sure that people face penalties for like what was obviously, you know, it has no purpose for legally protected speech. It is just meant to menace people and make them feel unsafe. We do need more legal protections for that, and until we do that, no, like online harassment is going to be a gray zone, because like even Taylor Lorenz is somebody who unmasked the identity of somebody like Chaya Rychek, which you can say that she was doing harm to LGBT people, and she certainly was with the rhetoric online, but then you have to say like, okay, so what is our metric? It's just if we personally agree with it, we're okay with people like having a removal of their online anonymity, like we have we're okay with that.
that actually like police endanger women.
One Twitch streamer that I spoke to about this.
We need to say that, okay, if you're going to, if you want to be able to be a journalist and unmask people, right, you have to be able to prosecute people who then take that unmasking and specifically use it to menace people, right? Because you can say that it's not menacing for somebody to contact somebody's employer and go, hey, are you okay with somebody representing themselves online publicly? I mean, even then, like I said, it's not necessarily publicly, but are you okay with this person being associated with you publicly? They've been unmasked, right? And that's up to the employer, you know, whatever. But I would say beyond that, actually, like death threats, rape threats, shit like that, that needs to be taken a lot more seriously.
Incident gave me a quote that I've been thinking about a lot. And he said, what happened at TwitchCon was to a very significant degree unavoidable, not because there weren't enough barriers to accessing VIPs, checkpoints, or staff training, but because this is a Twitch culture issue. Rape culture and hyper-misogyny are rampant on the platform from top to bottom.
That's not a fucking Twitch problem, dude. That's an internet problem. That is literally just a fucking internet problem.
Entire Discord and subreddit.
Twitch is better than most when it comes to that.
Are dedicated to stalking and harassing women.
I mean, Twitch is not perfect. I'm like not somebody to like defend Twitch, but no, it's not a Twitch problem. It is just a broader internet problem. The misogyny, targeting marginalized groups, it's a fucking critical hit, and these things aren't like, there's no actual social ramification or platform level like penalty for these sorts of things. There is to some degree on Twitch, but it's one of the more restrictive platforms when it comes to this. And yeah.
POC LGBTQ streamers. There can't be safety for women at these events until the company takes their concerns seriously on the platform. I thought this was so true and accurate. You know, I interviewed Dan Clancy at TwitchCon. I asked him about the Emmy Rue incident. He gave, you know, kind of a PR bullshit answer. But I also asked him why there weren't more women streamers on the platform. And he didn't have a good response. And to me, I don't cover Twitch as much as I do other platforms. But that is in part because it is such a male-dominated space. It is a culture issue to me where if you look at the biggest creators on the platform, a lot of them are deeply, deeply misogynistic and hateful. And this culture pervades Twitch in a way that I don't think it pervades other platforms.
100%. And it doesn't surprise me that you would see then like a heightened sort of like safety concern for women on Twitch. It also makes me think about how like when I look at incidences at past conventions that I've been to, a lot of times it is featured creators who are being violent toward other featured creators, like oftentimes male creators being violent toward women. And this occurs like in the privacy of people's hotel rooms. This occurs like in VIP creator spaces. This occurs at after parties where only like featured creators are allowed to be. And the reason for that is because safety does not have to do with like who's allowed in what area or who has what wristband. Safety involves like cultural misogyny and the ability for men to be violent toward women and face zero repercussions. And when women come forward about these things, they are not taken seriously and they are often punished more for speaking up than the men who actually assaulted them or harassed them are for doing these criminal acts.
Yeah, I also just think about the stuff that happened around TwitchCon, because of course you had the convention itself and then you have these parties. Now, previous TwitchCons, there have been people roofied at parties, women have been assaulted. This year we had people like Jack Doherty, this like kick streamers show up and start antagonizing, saying slurs, antagonizing people.
So also, I do want to say that I partially agree that there is like a permissive culture of misogyny that exists in a lot of these online spaces where, because there's not enough people that personally have a reason to confront their misogyny, like, especially because a lot of these online spaces actually benefit from these cultures when it comes to like power dynamics with women. It's really interesting, but, I don't think it's necessarily like I said, I don't think it's a Twitch level problem, and I don't even think it's necessarily something that you should solve with like platform level moderation. I think it is like a consumer, like you have to understand as a consumer what you're engaging with and what that says about you and what that's going to say about I don't know, I guess your social development, right?
There was all
otherwise,
these
why the fuck do you care about misogyny? Why does anybody care about misogyny? Why does anybody care about racism? The only reason you really care about misogyny and racism are because it impacts your ability to judge people and interact with people as individuals, and it makes you a shitty person.
Or sort of like Kick streamers and people on Rumble. Rumble's a right-wing video platform. Kick is this sort of like content for moderation free, like, you know, streaming competitor to Twitch. The creators on those platforms are some of the most toxic people on the internet. You also have people on Pump.Fun live streaming, these crypto trolls that bought tickets that came in that even were antagonizing Dan Clancy, etc. And not antagonizing Dan Clancy in a good way, right? Like not antagonizing him to make things safer, but in a negative way. And so I think it's just so hard as well because streaming culture rewards outrage. And I think a lot of these people have made a name for themselves online by going up and harassing women, attacking people, like being awful. And they can just buy tickets to this convention and get their content. They know that there will be these prominent women here who they can harass.
And so much of this stems from the objectification of women, which is a huge problem on Twitch because it reflects the broader trends of objectifying women in society. And so when I think about Twitch and its issues with women, I think also about things like...
Okay, this is objectification. Okay, objectification of women on a platform level. It really depends what you're talking about, because there's also self-objectification that goes, like, that women engage in on these platforms as well. So it's like, how do you necessarily fight that level of objectification in like a moderation style? Like I said, it's just a cultural thing where women have to understand that by engaging in certain kinds of objectification, they are kind of, they are debasing themselves. Like that's all they have to realize. But if they're debasing themselves for capital gain and they want to do that, then okay.
Community guidelines that patrol women's body parts, how that's been a really controversial issue on Twitch, and the way that the community often
like, you're never gonna see me with a big titty VTuber. If I have a VTuber, they're gonna be like a half fucking bug person. They might be cute, but in like a fucking creepy way.
Response to these things is to further objectify women, to further sexualize women. And the problem is when men don't view women as equal to them, when they don't view them as people, when they do view them as these sexual objects, that is where this type of violence stems from.
I would say that this does occur, but once again, this is not an exclusively woman-man thing. This is just a person-to-person dehumanization problem online. It's extremely easy to dehumanize people through the fucking internet.
So you can't stop this type of violence until you...
No, I would never have a lolly VTuber. My VTuber, she's gonna be like a very wholesome, you know, like Millie from Trigun? If I ever have a VTuber model, it's gonna be like Millie from Trigun.
Attack the ideology behind it, and that can never be solved with like security measures. It has to be a broader cultural effort.
Which is why all of these men online, a lot of them, don't give a fuck about women's safety. Like, you know, we have the loudest voices in the room claiming to, you know, protect Emiru and care about, you know,
this is true, that a lot of men don't personally care about women's safety. They will intervene when they see women being unsafe. They do personally try to have, I guess, good morals around how they treat women. They have personal morals around how they treat women. They're not always good at engaging in dialogues with women in their life about how those women want to be best treated when it comes to, like, misogyny that is just kind of ingrained in how we treat people and how that makes other people feel. But it's not, like, it's an interpersonal issue. Like, this is what I've realized about misogyny, is that misogyny, while there are things that are, like, enforcing misogynistic tropes systemically, like when it comes to advertising trends and shit like that, like what works, when it comes to actually getting people to challenge their own personal view of women, it is an interpersonal thing. You do have to be like, hey, you're not seeing me as an individual, as a woman that you care about because of this way that you view women generally. And that person has to go, hey, you're right. Maybe I should make like exceptions in like how I view women. Like maybe I should realize that I'm being a little narrow-minded.
Women, blah, blah, blah. If people like,
just because, like, I don't know, I don't think actually getting men to, like, I haven't personally experienced getting men to confront misogyny, like, on a broad scale through media. Maybe there are video essays that have, like, people have come across at the right time in their life that have, like, made them reflect on stuff that they've personally failed at when it comes to their interpersonal relationships with women, or even, like, people of color or shit like that, and it's, like, made them reflect. Once again, I feel like it's a deeply personal process.
Ethan Klein, who is simultaneously launching misogynistic hate campaigns against countless women, including myself and you. I think of these like live stream fail or this like, these weird like drama slop accounts that have been posting every single thing that I have said about this Twitch incident, right? And trying to make it seem like somehow like I don't care about women's safety, which is freaking crazy, to the point that this female streamer.
I mean, okay, Lorenz, the reason why people are saying that is because at a time where a woman was saying that her personal security was at threat from, like, Twitch not having, like, their shit up to par, you felt to complain about, about journalists having it too hard at, like, those same security checkpoints, which is a totally different fucking situation. Like, that's why people are saying, like, that you're kind of being stupid about this. Like, honestly, this video is not as bad as I thought it was gonna be, but it's still pretty bad.
Sinha, who's very well known, who, you know, she was even saying like, oh, you know, Taylor Lorenz started repeating a bunch of libs of TikTok conspiracies about me. Like, no hate to Sinha. I don't think she probably even knows my work. Like, you know, this woman is probably
I didn't look into the Sinha Lorenz stuff, honestly.
dealing with a lot herself. But you see this content sort of repackaged to further misogynistic hate campaigns, right? To further this misogynist hate campaign against me and you and others.
Of course it's heat. Sinha reacts to Taylor Lorenz defense of security at TwitchCon. Girl, you know damn well they weren't that strict. What the hell were you reporting on the TwitchCon floor? You poor journalist, you had to get your wristband scanned and couldn't get into a private area.
Who actually report on gender-based violence. And I think that's what's so disturbing as well, is the weaponization of violence against women to further violent campaigns against women.
This is back to the basics of just like conservative
Yeah, Thorns, I haven't confronted my personal misogyny.
rhetoric in general, and like spaces like Livestream Fails, they lean conservative, they use slurs, they make fun of marginalized people, like they contribute to this very ideology that puts women in danger. It's also so ironic to me that Ethan Klein,
I will say, like, the call out of Livestream Fail is probably fair when it comes to, like, places that are particularly perpetuating, like, misogyny. They tend to, yeah, have a slant.
I would act like he cares about women's safety and women on Twitch and misogyny on Twitch, when I think about famously, he like couldn't stop himself from laughing at QT Cinderella when she was talking about being deep faked and having her likeness exploited. Like, he mocked her, and then when he tried to apologize for it, he like mocked her again. So it's like these individuals who are pushing these campaigns are so clearly coming at it from a bad faith perspective, because they demonstrably not only do they not care about women's safety, but they are part of the problem.
Oh, great. I just opened Twitter and the top comment is Ethan Klein responds to Taylor Lorenz. Claiming he's leading a misogynistic harassment campaign. I don't know what you're talking about, you lunatic psychopath. She's crazy. Keeps lecturing our community, which is majority female, about how I'm dangerous to women. Ethan Klein, women can also participate in misogynistic hate campaigns.
This is true. I mean, I do have to agree with Taylor in this. This is a very weak argument that I experience from a lot of people online. If I try to ever point out like a community-wide trend of misogyny in any space that I exist in, yeah, that does definitely happen, where people are like, oh, we have women that do just fine here. It's like, okay, but what do those women have to capitulate to? What way do those women have to act to be seen as valid by the people in this community, right? And it's like, or like specifically, what traits do they not even exhibit, right? That might be seen and tied to a specific negative feminine trait that they don't exhibit. It's just a cop out.
Actually, often a core part of it.
I keep seeing people say like, wait until you find out that most
like, for example, anytime that I discuss my mental health online, people pretty much tie it to the BPD thing, to the BPD meme.
Misogynistic comments are made by women, and I'm like, wait until you find out. Like, you guys know nothing about feminism. This has been a core feature of the feminist movement for its entire existence. Like, people who actually care about women's safety are fully aware that women perpetuate
Thorns, were you present for the Jolene incident? If I say the Jolene incident, are you aware of what I mean?
Misogyny. It is like,
I might have a rant to go into after this.
Like these misogynistic men who have no grasp of what they're even talking about.
And they tokenize women, right? They tokenize
okay.
the women in their community to say like, oh, look, you know, all these women support me. And it is such like...
There was a musical take that occurred last night that I cannot abide by.
Republican politics as well. I mean, you mentioned this is sort of this conservative ideology. You know, I posted this online, but it's like, let me direct a torrent of harassment and abuse towards a female journalist and repeat right-wing smears about her to thousands of people to show how much I care about women's safety. Like, it's also like you see this a lot in the UK where they weaponize.
I mean, there's definitely a problem with this when it comes to concern trolling too. And you see this a lot where like women will be targeted by misogynistic abuse for perceptions of not being perfect feminists and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's tough in general. Yeah.
Or here, right, with immigrants, right, where they're weaponize, you know, the rape of a woman by an undocumented person, or violence against women to hate on trans women, to hate on marginalized groups, and women's.
You can see this with the Irna fucking killing, that people use that to perpetuate their racist opinions, even though it was more about like it was about mental health more than anything. It wasn't even about like her skin color or the fact that she was a pretty white woman or anything like that we know of. The guy was just fucking crazy.
Like, women's pain and violence against women is so often weaponized.
Will do, Salty, especially if you donate to me. I will expedite it if you donate to me.
To push right-wing reactionary causes, and this is no different.
It reminds me of while campaigning, Donald Trump said that he would protect women whether they like it or not. And then as soon as he was put back in office, his administration defunded pathways for women to report when they were sexually violated by federal agents. So it's like you see this cycle.
That's so fucked.
Over and over again, where the idea of protecting.
It doesn't surprise me at all when people who are like sexually inappropriate to women are given a pass in the society when Donald Trump is our president. Like, I can't be surprised by it anymore, because he has done the most egregious things to women. He has been found civilly liable for sexual assault against a woman. He has been like a constant violator of the idea of like it's just the way he talks about powerful women around him and the way that he uses him in his administration as convenient fucking scapegoats. It's disgusting.
Women and women's safety has been so thoroughly weaponized by the right that it's actually used as a cudgel as they take away protections from women, as they objectify women, and ultimately as.
And this is why, by the way, the left wing needs to be strongly pro Second Amendment. Because women, like if you want women to feel independent going about society in an increasingly like low trust world where women are, seen as second class citizens by a large part of the society, yeah, you should be in favor of gun ownership, responsible gun ownership, and training for gun ownership.
They enact this violence toward women,
which is the ideology that.
I won't let you donate. That's unfortunate. It's okay. You can donate in bits on Twitch, too.
A lot of these men support. Like, they do not support actual accountability. They don't want Twitch to rid itself of this culture of misogyny. It's a culture that they benefit from. A lot of these male Twitch streamers, they benefit from this culture of misogyny. They benefit, by having
these male Twitch streamers. If I had to think about the largest streamer who is like currently perpetuating these sorts of things, or several of the largest streamers that are perpetuating these sorts of like rhetoric, none of them are on Twitch. They get banned from Twitch first. What streamers are you fucking referencing? Like, I don't think Twitch is the problem here. Oh, thank you, Salty, for cheering with 300 bits. Thank you so much. If the bar doesn't update, I'll update that myself. That's so cool. Thank you so much.
Having women objectified. Like, they don't want to
$22 more.
Change the culture. They just want more security theater that doesn't keep women safe. And they don't actually care about women's safety.
100%. I think like when I was reading some of the commentary about this situation, I even saw people using it as like another excuse to bring up Amber Heard from the perspective of like not believing that Amber Heard is a victim. And people on Twitch were major contributors to the idea that like Amber Heard was an abuser and she wasn't a victim. And I'm like, how can you sit there and not believe Amber Heard and pretend that you care about women's safety? If you don't believe Amber Heard, just like bar none, like you don't care about women's safety. And time again, like this platform and every other platform have contributed to like these mass.
Wait, I have to go back. I was updating my thing. I have to go back. What is Blood talking about?
That Amber Heard is a victim, and people on
misogyny. It's a culture that they benefit from. A lot of these male Twitch streamers, they benefit from this culture of misogyny. They benefit, by having women objectified. Like, they don't want to change the culture. They just want more security theater that doesn't keep women safe.
I will draw you as a dark kaiju. Actually, I had a couple different ideas I had for your. Oh fuck! I had a couple cool ideas for your squid actually the other day. I'll get working on that tomorrow.
Don't actually care about women's safety.
100%. I think like when I was reading some of the commentary about this situation, I even saw people using it as like another excuse to bring up Amber Heard from the perspective of like not believing that Amber Heard is a victim. And people on Twitch were major contributors to the idea that like Amber Heard was an abuser and she wasn't a victim. And I'm like, how can you sit there and not believe Amber Heard and pretend that you care about women's safety? If you don't believe Amber Heard, just like bar none, like you don't care about women's safety. And time again.
I mean, there were people that were way more, like, receptive to Johnny Depp's telling of events. Obviously, like, they both did fucked up things to each other there, but I would say, like, it's kind of like, it's hard to, it's a difficult situation to put people, like, to label people as victim and abuser when it comes to the whole Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard thing. Honestly, I didn't pay that much attention to it. Maybe somebody wants to debate me on that. Maybe I'm wrong.
And like,
maybe Amber Heard is the definitive victim there.
This platform and every other platform have contributed to like these mass gaslighting events where women's pain is exacerbated under the guise of like caring about abuse. It's
Yeah, people treating her like entirely the abuser, and like she did not none of it was reactive, none of it was like in response to anything. Like I said, I didn't go through the timeline of events thoroughly enough to say if there was a definitive like instigator when it came to that dynamic, but it was clear that they were both participating in an abusive dynamic.
It's so ridiculous and it's so maddening. And these men they choose not to see through it because they know that they will ultimately benefit from upholding these systems of misogyny.
I also think that, I wrote about this recently in relation to like the Hassan Piker dog collar incident, but you see these out of context clips constantly used and weaponized in these campaigns. And I think that
not a great example. Not a great example, Lorenz.
Actually, that video of that person scanning their wristband and how misrepresented that was is like a perfect example of this. Like, people coalesce around a narrative, and it's a motivated narrative. Like in this case, a lot of these top streamers hate Dan Clancy. I have no allegiance to Dan Clancy. He could be a terrible CEO. Like I've only reported the company like marginally, but like I'm not here to like cap for any tech CEO. So, whatever. But they're sort of motivated to push him out and to show him as this failure. And they think that sort of like maybe leveraging this event will further that goal. And so they launch this like essentially.
There are definitely people who have like what I would call Twitch derangement syndrome, where they jumped on this like specifically to say that Twitch is a problem. I would say that a lot of these venues have an issue with like being mismanaged, but Twitch is definitely dropping the ball for how much fucking money they make. They're a goddamn what is it, a subsidiary of Amazon?
Essentially a disinformation campaign where they're sort of like taking all these out of context clips, mischaracterizing them and using them to push this narrative. And it's really frustrating to me because we both reported on this a lot, but like the way people get information now is from this like AWK 3000 account or whatever, which is I guess some teenage,
Call the fuck out.
streamer fan, like these sort of like these distributed news systems, these Reddit accounts, etc. People that aren't doing actual reporting, right? People that aren't calling up the company that, makes those scanners or calling up whatever, or they're just like emailing a customer service rep, right? Like in the Hassan dog collar situation, like they don't actually do any reporting. They don't go to look at the actual collar, right? They're just like doing slop content basically that mimics journalism. But they, even when presented with any sort of facts that counter their preconceived belief, they double down, they triple down. You cannot convince them that what they've seen is wrong because they keep saying, well, how can so you're saying I can't trust my own eyes.
It's so exhausting, and it is so reminiscent of like the rhetoric that we saw during Depp v. Heard, which has informed so much of like how these events are consumed on the internet and who is granted credibility and who is taken seriously. I also think like another great ongoing example of why surveillance doesn't keep women safe is this ongoing viral.
I think that like the credibility when it came to the Depp v. Heard trial probably had to do with like the specific incidences that they both engaged in and how like crazy those read to the tabloids. I don't know.
Viral discourse around the.
Yeah, Taylor's okay. Yeah, this is coming from the lady who wrote like a Roblox police brutality article. Which is like, okay, I kind of get it. It's a little bit psychic war to be like taking a very unserious topic and trying to like extrapolate it into like an actual thing that's happening in real life. I kind of get it, but at the same time, like people are just gonna make fun of you, bitch.
DoorDash TikTok incident.
Yes. For people that don't know, this DoorDash woman, this delivery woman came up to a door delivery. This man ordered delivery. The door was wide open. This man had his pants down and, was sort of appeared to be sleeping. We don't know if he was actually asleep. Theoretically, he was probably not asleep because he did order the DoorDash order and had exposed himself to this woman. She recorded that. She posted that online. She was promptly fired from DoorDash for violating.
I didn't look into this, by the way. This caught me off guard, but what I have looked into this, this girl is clearly fucking traumatized. I don't think that people should be gassing her up in the idea that DoorDash specifically fired her for reporting like a sexual assault. They clearly fired her for maybe violating the privacy of a customer and they weren't sure about it. Like, these companies are going to kind of take the safe route. Unfortunately, they might have also banned the customer. I don't know. We don't know. It's crazy.
Privacy.
She definitely seems like she needs to see a therapist, though. Like, this kind of reaction to somebody, to just like seeing somebody with their cock out when you deliver something, like, yeah, it is violating. It's a weird feeling. But I mean, if you've lived in a major city, you have had somebody expose their cock to you, unfortunately.
Guidelines, I guess, like filming a
And that's not okay, but it might be something you just need to learn to deal with.
Customer without his consent. Okay, fine. But the point is that she recorded a sexual assault, as you mentioned. This led to this like days of discourse and abuse. And now.
And this is also like a thing where gig workers don't have the same legal protections as other workers when it comes to like reporting sexual misconduct and protections for reporting that sexual misconduct. That's something that should actually be like discussed more here. It's not necessarily that DoorDash should have taken it more seriously and like said, oh, this guy was definitely sexually assaulting her and shit like that, but that it all should have been outlined in some sort of code of conduct that she had to sign when she became an employer, like, hey, if a customer or anybody is inappropriate to you, here is the clear like legal route to it, and anything else might cause undue damage to like our company, blah blah blah, so please just like keep it under wrap and we'll do right by you. This doesn't always work out, but there are OSHA protections and shit like that, whatever, that don't apply to gig workers, which is a problem.
We have this AI smear campaign happening right now where essentially she's being attacked and re-victimized and people claiming all sorts of things about her.
100%. And it's like that to me is such a perfect example of why surveillance doesn't keep women safe, because these types of clips can always be weaponized against women. Like, it's so frustrating because at the end of the day, like, if the ideology,
like, I hate to just be saying I don't think this is a specifically like problem against women, because I don't know if the guy who exposed himself was motivated by some sort of psychosexual fixation against women that's inappropriate. But I don't know. I really don't know if it's specifically about women when it comes to DoorDash. Like, if it was a man that reported the exact same thing, I don't think that they would have, like, taken it more seriously. I think that they still would have considered it, like, a potential harm to their company and fired them. So it's just a problem of a lack of protection for people reporting sexual misconduct.
blames women for violence that happens to them, then no amount of security or proof or evidence will ever be enough. And we see this time and time again. And in fact, having all of this material has only served to make this woman less safe. But if she hadn't captured that video, nobody would believe her. And even with that video, people still don't believe her. So it's like, it really is a lose-lose situation for women and girls, like, time and time again.
Yeah, if you have to, like, for example, have like a dash cam or an in-car camera to actually prove misconduct by a customer, like if you're being exposed to this sort of risk and your company is not putting like proper protections in place or guidelines for how you're supposed to respond to these sorts of intrusions upon your person, yeah, that's an issue. It's an issue for the workers. And I don't think it's necessarily an issue of misogyny. I think it's an issue of capitalism. I hate being this way about everything lately, but lately when people are like, oh, this is a problem with misogyny, I'm like, it kind of seems like a problem of capitalism.
Exactly. I mean, I am just so appalled because when you see that video of the man with,
like, even when it comes to online sex work and shit like that, it's like, no, it seems once again like it's a problem of capitalism because, you know, people would say the same thing. Like, there are men that sacrifice their bodies and do degrading work, et cetera, for capital gain. And it's like, there's nothing inherently more degrading for women doing sex work. It's just a matter of it's inherently degrading to be exchanging your body and your dignity for capital gain.
with his pants down, right? Like, and of course we can't know the motivations, blah, 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 blah. Whether that was intentional or not, that is sexual abuse, right? Like, that is appalling what happened. But people are litigating, oh, well, why did she do this? Why did she do this? The video is so quickly weaponized against her. And that is what a lot of video evidence does, right? Like, I mean, the Amber Heard thing is a perfect example too, where like you saw even photographs of her own bruises were litigated. Like, there is no amount of evidence or surveillance or whatever they could possibly.
Okay, but you do have to litigate bruises. Like, if she said she used a certain, okay, like the whole makeup case thing is whatever, but like, yeah, you do have to prove those sorts of things because people do unfortunately cause harm to themselves and get people arrested as well. Like that, there is a reasonable burden of proof when it comes to this. I don't think it's misogyny to have women prove these sorts of things. Although I do think that there are changes that need to be done to like the way that we prosecute these things, the way that we investigate these things, and the resources that we put towards investigating these things, so that actual more women get justice.
Vindicate a woman because people have already decided that the woman is the villain and the woman is guilty.
And Amber Heard is like just the worst example. She's an extremely wealthy person. Like this is what I hate about Taylor Lorenz. She's an incredibly affluent person, and the way that she tends to report on stuff does not actually give a lot of I don't know. She doesn't tend to consider the little guy. Like that was my major issue with her chorus reporting. It wasn't that she wasn't calling out things that should be like considerations. People should be concerned about these ethical violations when it comes to contracts that these political actors make smaller creators engage in. But it's that there wasn't a caveat to say like, hey, some of these small creators that might have signed up with Chorus might just be doing training. They're not like ideologically compromised because of this. Don't just go around harassing them because they're ideologically compromised. And she understands the fucking weight of this because she complains about it when it happens to her. So it's like, I don't know. I don't like Taylor Lorenz personally. I think that she reports on stuff. She has some like interesting articles, but I just feel like she's one of those people that comes across as like not of my class to a level where I can't trust her intentions with anything.
And she is the aggressor and she is wrong in these situations.
Also, like, it's worth noting that this stuff isn't new because even predating a lot of the technology we have now, like studies about
Yeah, it's the court's job to litigate. It's not the public to judge.
Bias show and have shown historically that you can show two people the exact same like audio recording, video clip, picture, or like wall of text, and they can both walk away being like, oh, well, it's clear as day. Like my preconceived opinion is reflected in this evidence. So it's like there's not like a universal understanding of what footage reveals. And in fact, it can so easily be weaponized against like victims, and it happens every single day.
I want to get back to TwitchCon because I do think like, you know, we should talk about like kind of what should have been done and like what can be done to actually fix this. Like a couple things too, I'll say is like, I don't know.
All right, let's hear it.
Why Twitch has TwitchCon. I guess it must be a moneymaker for them, but no other platform has like an entire convention dedicated to that platform as far as I know. Like, I mean, YouTube sponsors VidCon, but even VidCon is so diminished, it seems perhaps counterproductive to even have this event. But if it does go forward, I do think that there are changes that need to be made. And like, it starts with confronting these systemic issues. Like, I think the first thing that they should do is work aggressively to change the culture of the platform, crack down on misogynistic hate speech, demonetize, you know, content creators that are.
Sorry, I wasn't laughing at anything in the video. I was laughing at a fucking post in my general chat in Discord. I'm sorry.
Attacking women, brigading women, and start working to cultivate relationships with women content creators.
This goes for a number of social media platforms, but among like the
I will say this, that women supporting women is a pretty good way to go about this, because that is the problem, is that you have these networks of creators that are largely slanted towards male-dominated spaces. And maybe we do need to make like our own space, even if it is a broad space. It's not like we're just going to be doing like makeup tutorials and shit like that. It's going to be stuff that is more, I guess, maybe just the environment, the vibe of it is more friendly to women. We might have to make our own spaces, because it's not like we can necessarily browbeat these platforms into making like super restrictive rules where any like hint of misogyny is like taken down. You kind of just have to make your own space. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And like, I would say that like the space that I'm trying to create, it's not even inherently feminist. It's not inherently pro-woman. It's just kind of pro a lot of things that women tend to exhibit. It's pro, like, I'm a quieter person. A lot of my friends tend to be a little bit softer spoken. So platforms, debate platforms that makes, like, they have moderators who are like, hey, you haven't talked in a while. Like, let's hear your opinion. Those are naturally going to be more accepting towards women. So as a woman that recognizes that that sort of thing disadvantages not only women, but other soft-spoken people, that people have those traits, I want to make a platform for them. I want to make a space for them. There's enough of us out there. We just need to group together, you know? Sticks strong together makes a sturdy F slur. And when you burn the F slur,
ranks of the most followed people, you will
I
always
forgot what
have
my
like these
fucking-
violent
I made-
misogynists who
I had a good saying for that the other day and I totally forgot it. I'm sorry.
directly harm and endanger women on the platform, women in their audience, and nothing is done about that. And there is a trickle-down effect where it's like, if some of the most followed people on Twitch face no repercussions and are actually like, they gain things from misogyny, they gain popularity, they enrich themselves, like they gain status.
They gain things from any, like, anything that targets a marginalized group. Yeah, that's just how these places work, you know? It's just punching down.
From being misogynistic. So as long as that is the case, it will trickle down into fan behavior, and people going to these types of conventions will learn from the people who basically rule this platform, who are the most visible people on this platform, that this type of behavior.
I will say too that it's not necessarily a platform, like it's not the streamers that are engaging in this behavior that is trickling down into the fandom. It's that the fandom has a much, like, the fandom is always going to have a much lower bar for like what they engage in than the streamer. And if the streamer doesn't strongly disavow a certain behavior, if they don't have a reason to disavow a certain behavior, if they don't have a reason to incorporate certain voices into their content, that is going to be reflected in the audience that they garner. It's not that they're necessarily grooming their audience, it's just a filtering sort of fucking thing.
Behavior is not just tolerated, but encouraged. And then when those people aren't held accountable, it just perpetuates this cycle over and over and over again. When I speak to experts in gender-based violence, something that I hear time and time again is that we've never even tried to hold men accountable for violence against women. Like, we've never even attempted to instill consequences, like widespread consequences for harming women. And so as long as that is the case,
like, what are widespread consequences? There are certain things that you're restricted from if you have a domestic violence charge in your history, for example. Like, I would say that domestic violence is, like, what more can we do about it aside from maybe making more public resources for women that are experiencing, like, intimate partner violence so that they can possibly, like, not have to be economically, like, restricted from choices that would keep themselves safe or their children safe?
case, of course it will continue, because it's not just that there's no deterrent to this behavior, but it's actually
there is a deterrent. It is illegal. And there are several states too where even because and this is like kind of okay, I think, in my opinion. There are certain states where if a woman calls the police and says this person is abusing me, whatever, if the police come out, they have to arrest somebody. They have to take somebody to jail that night because they don't think that that person that called the police is a like, they can't be trusted to say, no, this person's safe, because there's been a lot of situations where they said, no, this person's safe, but it's really just because they are feeling so much guilt for even calling the police that they can't accurately report to the police what's being done to them. So those mandatory, like basically when the state prosecutes, not the person, I think that's good when it comes to domestic violence. And a lot of states already have that, and it's kind of good, even if it causes financial repercussions for the woman, which once again is why we should have resources. So they shouldn't feel like it's the end of the world because the person that just beat the shit out of them is getting taken to jail and is possibly going to be barred from seeing them for 2, 3, 4 weeks. That person should be barred from seeing them for 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's just that we should have a process to keep that person afloat so that they don't become, like, destitute or lose their housing because of that.
Actually rewarded by the platform and socially by other men.
Yeah, I mean, I think of this guy, Jake Lucky, who's this gamer who almost 500,000 followers, quote tweeted this tweet that I posted about security and how actually Twitch was quite secure. And he quote tweeted this video of Neon acting abhorrently, right? And taking advantage of the fact that he had basically carte blanche to do whatever he wanted at that convention because he had the highest level of access given his status as a streamer. And he goes, Twitch's security was insanely strict. And he shows Neon sitting behind Deshae Frost's meet and greet table. And as I said then, like, this man is a Twitch creator who is credentialed. So
this is the clip that I saw. I'm glad she addressed this. So this is somebody who had security clearance. But even then, if you have security clearance for one spot, you should probably, there should be more security for verification. You shouldn't just be able to wander into another spot because, yeah, you can have affluence in another spot and be like a op to somebody else and have like an entirely antagonistic presence to somebody else. You shouldn't just be able to wander up there to their booth.
Who was invited. That's my whole point, is that like you have the worst people at the top acting like this. That trickles down. And it's so disappointing because this bad faith guy, Jake, of course, gets almost 1 million views on his tweet, thousands and thousands of likes and retweets. And I'm like trying to respond. And I think I have, 37 retweets and just a torrent of misogynistic hate towards me, like, in his replies. So even after the bad behavior coming from the top,
I doubt that. Okay, maybe it was misogynistic. Maybe some of it was misogynistic. I imagine a lot of it was also classist, though.
TwitchCon.
Because of what you said. But like I said, his video was misleading. Like, based off what you said there, Taylor, yeah, his video was hella misleading.
The bad behavior is continuing online, and they're continuing to drive hate and harassment towards women, using violence against women as this sort of pretense on the internet. I think we just need to call out this behavior and start listening to actual women.
It's so clearly bad faith, because it's like, okay, if you agree that this streamer is misogynistic, then surely you're gonna like continue to call this person out, and surely like you'll consistently denounce this behavior in all forms. No, of course not. They're this kind of tweet, like, in itself is bad faith harassment of women, like, as you just said. It's just under the guise of like, oh, you guys are in the wrong. And it is so exhausting because all of the people who are joining in on this bandwagon, they all know what they're doing. They all know that they don't care about women. But when you are arguing,
okay, there's like a little bit of deflection of blame. Right? Like I said, like her original tweet was kind of insane. She's made up for it a little bit with addressing some issues here, but she hasn't really, I don't think they've actually posed real solutions to anything here.
Arguing in bad faith, you have no requirement to like be morally consistent. You have no requirement to actually believe the things you say, and everyone else joining in on this bandwagon comes from the exact same perspective. And so nothing will be done. And if TwitchCon were to continue happening, then this behavior will continue happening because no one in the community actually cares about it. They just want to use it as an example to weaponize against their own political enemies.
I will say that like harassment generally is something that people aren't going to properly address because a lot of people's a lot of people's content cycles are motivated by either harassment that they gain towards themselves or harassment that they engage in towards other people. So you're not really going to do too much about this.
I think the fact that like Hassan has been brought up in regards to this so many times gives the entire game away, because what on earth does that have to do with these incidents? Nothing. But this is political gaslighting, like in its purest form, and all of these communities love engaging in it.
The Hassan stuff is so appalling because like the first thing you'll hear, and people were literally saying this as well, like after I interviewed Dan Clancy. Again, I'm a mainstream technology reporter, right? Like I also interviewed Twitch's head of product. I interview leaders of tech companies all the time. Not only did Dan Clancy speak to me, he spoke to Bloomberg, like he speaks to other technology journalists. But on the internet, if you listen to these accounts, it's all just like, it's Taylor's relationship with Hassan. And, that's why he's talking to her because of some Hassan thing. She wants to fuck Hassan. She's obsessed with Hassan. Like, it's disgusting. And it's this dismissal also of my own credentials as a journalist, like, and what reporters do. It's always sort of like reframing this woman and her accomplishments or her career in the context of this man and this man streamer, right?
I've also seen like viral posts.
That does happen a lot, but it also just happens to be that a lot of the most prominent people tend to be men. So for if you're seeking a lot of legitimacy, you do need to network with those men, which is going to make people be like, oh, you're just like, it's just this is the only way that you manage to network with this person is because of your like sexual energy or some shit like that.
Taking Emiru's response where she explains the situation and turning it into a meme and saying that like she's being blackpilled. So basically they are using this incident to say that
excuse me, it clearly says red pilled. Journalists much?
Like, women who are victimized are becoming conservative and holding conservative ideology as a result.
You just want to fuck Hassan and?
The sad thing about that is that
bitch, if I could have a cyborg body, I would be Hassan.
There is truth to the idea that, like, when women experience systemic misogyny and sexism, it does sometimes, like, lead to people becoming more conservative because it's, like, such a backwards ideology that is just so propagandistic in nature. It's the same thing where it's, like, when conservative far-right groups take examples of like white women being abused or even murdered by like men of color, they will take those incidences and they will weaponize it against entire immigrant communities in support of their far-right ideologies.
Yeah, this has to do with like this idea of white women as being this like commodity that needs to be preserved by these like neo-nationalists. It particularly perturbs them when you show this to them. Yeah, it is a propaganda strategy.
And they regularly do this, like, despite the pleas of the families of these women.
What really pissed me off about the fucking Inya stuff, like, we invited Vladimir Putin to our soil and gave him a red carpet. Like, somebody who has arguably presided over the murdering of more beautiful, innocent Ukrainian women that just wanted a nice life, that just wanted to go harvest the fucking grain in the fucking field, that wanted to go pick the goddamn sunflowers. He's killed the most of them. And we gave him a fucking red carpet. So if you pretend to be upset about Irina because she was a goddamn Ukrainian refugee, fuck you. You don't care.
Women and even of these women themselves to not weaponize these cases. But it just goes to show in itself this is a form of objectification of women. Like, they don't actually care that she was violated. They don't actually care that she was assaulted. They just want to further objectify her and use her to push their own ideology.
Exactly. And I think it's so funny that
they specifically use the fact that she was Ukrainian. Because let's face it, a lot of Ukrainian women are beautiful, blonde, like, they do fit a lot of these, like, neo-traditionalist fucking aesthetics, right? But these sorts of people are not considered people, for the most part. It's only when they can weaponize it towards, like, demonizing another fucking group.
the same Jake Lucky guy who's, of course, like, dunking on me.
Ukrainian culture, by the way, absolutely beautiful. The sort of, like,
or whatever, is also boosting this clip of this guy American Dad Live asking Dan Clancy basically like, why hasn't he banned Hassan? Like, that's the subtext. He's saying, like, you know, would he properly enforce certain streamers, what certain streamers have said, that America deserved 9/11, veterans deserve PTSD. It's basically like, why haven't you deplatformed the people that I don't like? And, you know, boosting this conservative bad faith American dad guy as if he's holding like Twitch accountable in some way.
And like, the truth of the matter is, politically speaking, there is misogyny on like all sides of the aisle. Like, there's not like one place politically where you can go where like women are actually taken seriously. However, like, generally speaking, most people who actually value women and who actually oppose misogyny are going to be progressives. So the fact that like all of this comes back to this like conservative agenda just goes to show like how bad faith it is. And it just like, it blows my mind that people are still falling for this idea that like conservatives actually care about women. They don't. Like, they're just like objectifying and using violence against women as a way to further an agenda that is, again,
I know conservative women who care about women from a conservative lens. I don't know if I agree with this entirely. I just think that like the prescriptions for what women need are entirely separate. And usually the conservatives are more comfortable with using state force to actually make things different for women, whereas like liberals and progressives tend to be like, oh, we need to talk more about the actual impacts of this and like the personal impacts on treating people as like a, you know, like a monolith, etc., etc. I mean, maybe I'm wrong in that, but that's how I see it.
and objectifying and violent toward women.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be so hard for Twitch, you know, to ban streaming. Like, this is a streaming convention. I highly doubt that they're going to ban live streaming at the live streaming convention, if only because on the actual floor of the convention, like, there are so many booths set up for live streaming, and there are all these companies that want to demo their.
I don't think IRL streaming is the issue. I literally think it's just like, if you're going to be approaching somebody who is a large streamer, there needs to be communication between the security on like what is allowed. There just needs to be one intermediary person that addresses every single panelist. And if the streamer sees somebody approaching them that they don't recognize, that is not that person that is like interacting with the people who are asking questions, then they need to be concerned, and their security should also be concerned. That is an unauthorized person. It's very very fucking simple. Like, this isn't rocket science.
Their technology, and so they're showing off live streaming. But I do think that there's just a cultural shift that can happen. I don't know if you've attended the National Association of Broadcasters conference in Vegas. It's this massive, there's tens of thousands of people that go. It's huge. It takes over like the Vegas Convention Center, and it's for broadcasters. And there's a huge live streaming aspect. Like, they invite a lot of streamers. It's all basically like TV news people from around the country, but anybody that sort of broadcasts live footage. There are lots of content creators. They have an entire creator track, but you don't see this type of behavior because it's a professional event. And it's very focused on like professionalism. And, you have people live streaming all day and demoing their technology, but there's not this sort of antagonistic energy to it. I don't know if there's a way for them to automatically ban Rumble creators. Obviously, I think certain people should be banned from the venue. I don't think Jack Doherty was allowed in the venue even in this year. But I feel like culturally they have to do something to change the behavior on Twitch, because
like, if you're a provocateur, if you're somebody who's known for harassing people online, like if you're Empath Chan or Darius, yeah, you probably should be banned from TwitchCon because you are known as like a instigating element. Like, you are known as somebody who tends to cause fights, who tends to say volatile things to people. Yeah, absolutely, but not like it's not all IRL fucking streamers. Like, when I think of IRL streamers, I also think of people like Kel. Like, the most destructive things that Kel does are to her fucking self.
Until then, I don't think the platform will be successful. I think it will continue to remain niche. And let's be real, I bought this in my interview to Dan Clancy. This is the 4th year that Twitch has seen declining user base. And yes, it's still up from 2016 or whatever. But when you look at the broader social...
Okay, 4 years from 2021. Wow, I wonder what has happened since 2021 that is possibly, whatever.
Landscape and ecosystem. Twitch is down here, right? We have YouTube, TikTok, Meta, then there's sort of like these like lower tier platforms. And I just don't think that the platform will scale. And simultaneously, we do have a lot more women entering the live streaming space. I mentioned Amazon itself has live streaming now for shopping primarily, but you have women live streaming on the Like to Know It app, on Instagram Live. You have a lot of lifestyle influencers going live all the time. Like TikTok Live, of course, is massive, and they're trying to get people to multi-stream on TikTok Live. Not that any of those spaces are safe for women. They all have their own problems, but I think
no space is safe for women. Stay strapped.
Twitch seems to be sort of further and further declining. And in that sense, I do think it's a failure, of Dan Clancy to not change that culture.
Yeah, and I think that it is like...
There is never going to be a space that is safe for women. Unfortunately. Like, fully safe for women. Like, unless you have... Me as a person that wants to live in a relatively free society most of the time, I have to accept a certain level of unsafety on my person, being the physically smaller sex. Which is why I am a strong proponent of the Second Amendment, because I find it to be the great equalizer. I know that it is something I never want to use, but its presence allows me to interact with strangers, right? Knowing that I have an out. And women should maybe consider this. Yeah.
Like, it'd be very difficult to change the culture of a platform that I think particularly grew around misogyny. Like, it would take so much work. I don't think it's a project that could be accomplished within the span of a year. It's also like such a hard thing to...
Not a span of a year, man. Misogyny is the sort of thing that we need more people that are advocating for gender abolitionist sort of ideas. Stop doing this fucking gender essentialist shit where all of these traits are tied to being a woman or being a man. If you really want to tie it to one fucking thing, it's probably economic factors. It's probably not your gender, okay? And if you are more a victim of gender-based violence, it is probably also because of your fucking economic status.
To do when it's ultimately reflective, like the culture on Twitch is reflective of the broader culture of misogyny, and the project of dismantling misogyny is one that will continue forever. It will never be finished. And so I think that like it's a really difficult job to do, but what they're doing now they're not even really trying to like dismantle misogyny. They're not even having the conversation. So it would at least have to start there. And I think like your question of like why there aren't more women on the platform,
my opinion, okay, if there's gonna be people going after, like, for example, the misogynistic behavior of people like Destiny, we need more streamers that are supported, that are going after the misogynistic behavior of Destiny, that don't engage in that same fucking behavior. Like, if you say, I don't give a fuck about women's sexual assault, I'm just doing this for drama, I'm just doing this for content, and you're covering Destiny's fucking mistreatment of women's intimate images, then guess what? You're really only doing it for clout. You're not actually helping anything because you don't have an actual principled fucking position against it. You're just doing this because it's something you can attack your goddamn enemies on.
Platform is such a good one because it really gets to the heart of the issue of like, if the culture doesn't even accept women to begin with, then of course you will continue to have these issues.
And of course, they're not going to do any of this when they're potentially about to be hauled in front of Congress under a Trump administration. I asked Dan Clancy about this in my interview, but there was this hearing, it was postponed, the government shut down. I think they will eventually have the hearing where they're pulling up the CEOs of Discord, Steam, Reddit, and Twitch following the Charlie Kirk shooting, arguing that it's radical, whatever. Essentially, Twitch is the one platform where like Hassan Piker basically is. I think all of this is an effort to basically deplatform him and other sort of leftists on Twitch. Twitch is also the one platform that hasn't caved to government pressure yet to censor speech. And
So Taylor, please let us know who these like radical elements that are perpetuating misogyny on Twitch are. Please just like name them. Because I don't think Twitch is the fucking problem.
I think that that's going to be harder and harder to do. So I highly doubt that they're going to like turn around and start, banning misogynistic streamers. I think that would just so quickly be weaponized against them by the Trump administration and would be used to potentially try to get the platform shut down or to punish it in some way.
100%. And I think that like when I saw all of this unfolding on social media, that was my first thought, is like to think about the political backdrop and the context under which all of this is happening, which is that Twitch is being subjected to like a very highly funded, like very specific, like bad faith campaign around issues that they do intersect with women's safety, but they are so far removed from like the topic of discussion around like this specific assault or this specific environment. But it's so hard to have a conversation about it without recognizing that like so much of this stems from that bad faith attempt to ultimately deplatform Hassan Piker and to punish Twitch for allowing like this type of progressive.
What? What?
Anti-Israel speech.
Yeah, because Twitch is the one platform, because it's live streaming, it doesn't have that sort of like real-time moderation. So of course, you can't criticize Israel on TikTok, you can't criticize Israel on Meta, you can't criticize Israel on YouTube. Twitch is a place that one streamer, which is Hassan, and then a few other smaller ones, of course, like Twitch is overwhelmingly not a progressive space, but have been able to speak out. We saw Creators for Palestine happen with Twitch.
What is a more progressive space, man? Because you do have to, okay, like when it comes to actually, for example, supporting insurgent groups, there are going to be advertisers that don't want that to occur on their platform. There is a certain level of negotiation you have to go on. I don't know, I feel like Twitch is fairly fucking progressive. Like their security at TwitchCon was absolute dog shit. But, like, I don't know why this is made into, like, an ideological fucking thing here. It's not an ideological fucking thing. It's a management issue.
I wrote about this actually a year ago, about how Twitch had become this bastion for leftist sort of content. And I think that the government is very eager to eradicate that. And I do think that they will be successful. And that will only exacerbate the problem of, harassment and misogyny.
Any conversation about, like, what's happening at that level, it's no coincidence that this rhetoric of, like, men need to protect women and like federal police and agents need to protect women, it coexists with exactly what the Trump administration is doing. It's literally the same ideology.
I just want to reiterate again that I'm so disgusted by the response from these bad faith trolls saying that people like me, or I'm sure they're going to say this about you, don't care about gender-based violence, don't care about women's safety, something that we both have dedicated a significant portion of our careers to, you especially even more. But like, I mean, I wrote about Gamergate.
Okay, I would say that, like, you guys clearly care about gender-based violence, but it's just the lens of which we approach it, I think is highly ineffective at actually addressing the underlying factors that lead to gender-based violence.
Extensively. I covered this in my book. Writing about the weaponization of the internet against women is something that I have written about and experienced very publicly for years and years. And so to say, yes, Twitch was very secure. Yes, they actually had way more security than other conventions. That does not make it safe. That is not like simping for Twitch or whatever, which I'm very critical of. That is not defending a corporation. All these corporations, fuck Amazon especially. It is simply trying to redirect the conversation towards the root problem and the fact that this is a bad faith campaign actually aimed at distracting people from the real problem, which is misogynistic abuse and hate and harassment. And that underpins all of this.
No, I think the problem is AI-based monitoring systems being relied on for security when they've been shown to be ineffective. I think that's actually the problem when it comes to this particular thing that happened. Because if they had a lot of security cameras, if they had a lot of people that were like relying on an inefficient system, yeah, that's probably what fucking happened. I mean, yeah, misogyny is a fucking issue. Yes, women are treated like second-class citizens by a large portion of the population. Yes, women are sexually objectified and obsessed over, and me, even as a 5-viewer streamer, has to worry about an e-stalker. Yeah, it's kind of fucking weird for women out here, but I don't think that it's necessarily a platform level issue. Like I said, I think this is just like a societal reflection issue. Like, a lot of men need to realize the downfalls with othering women and treating them as second-class citizens. And women need to also demand more respect. They need to not engage, like, obviously in platforms like this that are not keeping them safe. Like, they need to, yeah, like, just don't debase yourself. Fuck.
And you can never have safety for women until that root problem is fixed, because you can have all the security theater.
Not making excuses for Twitch. Like, obviously Twitch should have had better security here. I just think that this level of security could have been a failure for a male person as well. It's just that the incentive for somebody to go up and want to smooch a streamer, I guess, is higher than somebody to want to go up and, like, physically harm a streamer.
In the world.
But it could have been violated in the exact same way.
It's not going to prevent the violence against women that we saw this year at TwitchCon.
You're totally right. And I think that, like, if I could reiterate one message for people to take away, it's that security theater does not protect women. It is a psychological sort of construct to make people feel safe that ignores all of these root issues.
And most violence against women is perpetuated and facilitated by economic factors. It's facilitated by women feeling trapped. It's facilitated by women not having support networks or any sort of resources to go to if they feel unsafe. It's not necessarily these wealthy ass fucking streamers. This isn't about women. This is about, like, people with platforms being, like, increasingly targeted by wackos, and, like, these actual conventions not taking that seriously and not having an actual system in place to make sure that people are acting right. And even then, it's still a fucking risk.
Increased policing does not protect women.
It's always
militarization does not protect women. And these sort of conservative ideologies around, like, protecting women with men at their root cause, it just endangers women more. So, like, if I could have people take one thing away from this, it would be that it is about dismantling misogyny. It is not about enacting more control and more surveillance around women in their lives.
Yeah, I saw one Twitch streamer who I love, but was even saying,
how the fuck, okay, how do you dismantle this misogyny? That's a very great, I would love for there to not be a need for security at these events. But you can't dismantle misogyny in a way that's going to prevent a single fucking wacko from getting close to somebody. What do you mean? This isn't going to solve the goddamn problem. You can't dismantle misogyny meaningfully in a way that's going to prevent somebody from being, like, obsessed with somebody.
and I'm sure maybe he was saying it in like a joking way, but like, oh, you know.
And this has happened throughout history, and not just against women, against men as well. A lot of the prolific, like, fucking figures I can think of throughout, like, history that are popular in pop culture that have been assassinated have been men.
No, too many of the security guards at Twitch were twinks. Like, they were small. We need like big, burly men to be security guards. And I'm sure he was joking, but it's like these little things that drive me crazy because, as you said, like, having big, burly men around does not inherently make women safe. Having 24/7 IRL live streamers around does not inherently make women safe. You know, having all the
twink force would have been fine if they were properly trained.
The kind of like wristband bullshit.
Just give them some fucking batons. Hell, have it be the all e-girl squad. Just give them enough like force equalizers and enough training, and it's fine.
In the world, like, again,
has nothing to do with the men. It has nothing to do with like men. If you give them a job and you give them clear instructions, they will do a pretty particular fucking job, even if they hate the person.
Should we have a baseline level of security? Yes. But all of that stuff will not prevent so much of the just disgusting stuff that women had to deal with at this year's convention and previous year's convention. And I think that Twitch needs a radical culture change. And I think the influencer world generally needs to confront its misogyny problem, because although Twitch is the sort of the nexus of a lot of this stuff, it's all over Reddit. It's all.
Okay, you can say to the cows come home, the influencer world needs to confront its misogyny problem. But unless you address the factors leading to that misogyny, the ways that it manifests, and the specific instances of it, all you're fucking do is whinging. You're just saying, this is what I wish that my ideal world is. It's not gonna fucking change. Like, just, I don't know. Like,
all over YouTube.
I want some prescriptiveness here.
It's all over Twitter. Like, it is this like network of hate that spreads across the entire internet.
Yeah. Hate will never make women safer. It will only put them in more danger.
Well, Kat, thank you so much for joining me today.
I agree with that. I mean, I would say that like increasing authoritarian crackdowns on crime is only necessarily going to put women in danger. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's it for this week's Free Speech Friday. If you like my work, please support me on Patreon via the link below.
I won't.
Or buy a paid subscription to my tech and online culture newsletter, UserMag, at usermag.co. That's usermag.co. You can also get my newsletter through my Patreon. I currently don't have any brand partnerships right now, so even just the tiniest support makes a huge difference. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back next week with a brand new episode of Free Speech Friday.
Okay. I'm gonna go use the restroom really quick. I will be right back. In the meantime, I'm going to be playing this very lovely video that I found recently. Where's picture in picture? Hello? There it goes. I have to reset the thing. I have to reset it.
Hello. Apple.
Hello.
I would like to share with you how we celebrate Halloween, or as we prefer to call it, All Hallows Eve. That's the time when
This channel is called Me Pearl. I found this recently. I love her. She's delightful. Her cadence, her everything, her presence, her aura, her possum. It's perfect. And this is a cute little demonstration about Samhain and All Hallows Eve that we're gonna watch while I go pee. I'll be right back.
the veil between the worlds is thinnest of all. And we celebrate by making a list of our dearly departed. This can be written in blood. A bold choice. It's better to use your own. Or you can use my personal favorite, the pen. Now, just write down whoever comes to mind. This can be ancestors, recently deceased friends, companion animals, even celebrities. I mean, who isn't still pained by the passing of Agnes Moorehead? Well, and then we take a platter of lovingly homemade pastries, sweetbreads, cupcakes, family recipe pies. And we take that outside, and for every name on our list, we take a piece of sweetbread and toss it onto the roof at midnight. No, honey, we're saving that for our dead loved ones. All right. Now, the idea being that, of course, these spirits will return, and we're going to save that, darling. The spirits will return, they'll accept the gift, and they'll feel appreciated. Doesn't that look good? Well, forget it. Don't do it. No. But why, you may ask? I was just getting into it. Well, think
Oh, the
about it.
pastries!
Who, besides your dead loved one, is likely to be on the roof? That's right. These sweet creatures. And birds, squirrels, raccoons, rabbits. You don't want to send their blood sugar sky high now, do you? I thought not. And that is why we recommend an organic platter of berries, veggies, nuts, and seeds instead. I mean, it just makes sense. And I'm sure your dead loved ones will thank you for it. Meanwhile, happy All Hallows Eve, and may someone someday remember you with love and legumes. Until next time, bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye! I hope to one day have 1/10 of the charisma of this woman. I'm gonna play one more video, and I'll be right back.
Well, hello, and happy incipient Samhain, or All Hallows Eve, or Halloween. It's the time when the veil between the worlds is the thinnest. This is the time that we honor our departed ancestors or personal heroes or sheroes. It's also the time that we dress up and threaten our neighbors. Trick or treat. Now, this year, Potato has decided to go as a princess. Isn't he fetching? Passion Fruit hasn't quite made up her mind. We're thinking of a court jester, that's kind of cute. Or maybe, let's see, maybe a floozy. Or, oh, look, a member of a mariachi band. That's pretty cute. Okay, or, oh, we have so many options. You could be a scholar or a fashionista. That's my favorite, but fashionistas are the most difficult to maintain. Now, if a possum comes to your house this year, remember, their favorite treat is fillet of a fenny snake. In a cauldron, boil and bake. Eye of newt and toe of frog, wool of bat and tongue of dog, adder's fork and blind worm's sting, lizard leg and owlet's wing, like a hell broth, boil and bubble. Or, if you prefer, you can simply give it a grape. You know, the possum's favorite trick? It's to poop on the stoop. Oh, aren't they just cut-ups, though? Oh, what? You know, Mr. Elephant has been acting out a lot lately. Where is the ecstasy when you need it? Did you know that ecstasy was developed as a tranquilizer for elephants? So for those of you still using it, and I mean you, Douglas Burmeister, think about it.
Think about it, Douglas.
Okay, all right. Yes, all right. As we all know by now, the vast majority of possums belong outside. So if you see one there,
No, why did it? Oh, wait.
well, hello.
Oh, no.
And happy 911. And respect that they deserve.
Sorry, I messed it up. One second. I'm fixing it.
911. I'd like to report that the elephant in the room is seeming a bit unstable. Bye for now.
Bye. I love this woman so much. This was randomly recommended to me the other day, and it has been like my favorite
If you're planning on eating a
In
meal
fact,
while watching it,
No, not Solar Sands. Food Horror is actually a very
hello.
good video. We could watch Food Horror if we don't want to do like more serious stuff. But yeah, Meet Pearl is amazing. She is a beautiful treasure of a person. I highly recommend her channel. Never be afraid to do what's right, especially for if the well-being of a person or animal is at stake. Society's punishments are small compared to the wounds we inflict on our soul when we look the other way. Dr. Martin
The
Luther
older
King
I
Jr.
get, the more I appreciate.
We're gonna get on to the we're gonna get on to the
remaining
emote drama,
loyal
but
to
first
my
this.
soul.
I'm sorry, I love
That
Pearl.
part that knows the difference between right and wrong, that knows convenience and acquisitions do not justify living in shame and denial.
And yes, Hell Puppy, I absolutely agree. If she was a narrator in an audio play, I was thinking if she was like the narrator in like a vaguely horror-ish like series, right, where she's kind of like narrating, she's the storyteller for like a creepy town or something like that, I would watch the fuck out of that. Especially if her little possums were like her little minions, her little crew of minions were there. Oh my god, are you kidding me? I would watch the fuck out of that.
Well,
So
for
please support
example,
Pearl. She's great.
medical testing on animals is a hot topic that I don't feel qualified to debate, however strong my opinion may be. But cosmetic testing on animals is indefensible. So when I discovered that some of my favorite products were manufactured by the worst offenders, it should have been a no-brainer. Don't buy the brand. But I was young and morally flexible, shall we say? And somewhere along the line, I had read that for every letter decrying inhumane practices that a company receives, it's understood to represent another 600 like-minded letters that never got written. So I thought it's okay to buy the cosmetic as long as I also write a letter of objection with every purchase. Little box of blush. 600 irate letters. Little box of blush. 600 irate letters. Should have, balanced out. Well, no, it doesn't. My soul understood that. The blind bunnies understood that. Gratefully, I don't do that anymore. Cruelty-free cosmetics only. No more rationalizing self-inflicted blemishes on my soul.
Very, very, very wise words. No more rationalizing self-inflicted blemishes on my soul.
And now, I challenge you to search.
Yes, has disconnected. I'm going to pause it for a second. We're reconnecting. If you have been disconnected, let me know. Let me know you're offline, online. All right. Welcome back. Say here, say F5, say refresh if you are hearing my voice and you are not disconnected. If you are disconnected, continue to be disconnected. If you hear my voice, say something. Hello. Welcome to my program. I'm learning from Miss Pearl. F. Yeah, F is not a good sign. F is not a good sign. If you can hear my voice, please say, hello, I can hear you. Refresh, please. We are currently resetting. Our restream is working. It is currently telling us that we are streaming. So it should be good now. We'll see. Da da da, tell me when you can hear me. Tell me when you can hear my voice. Tell me when the connection resets. You don't have a choice. Do 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 do. I know I'm disconnected. Da da da. Thank you, Thorns. We are back. Blah blah blah. Please reset. Please refresh. Please say refresh. Thank you, please. We're back. Yay! All right. I paused the lovely Miss Pearl.
Of the behavior in favor of celebrating your soul. Start small, build up.
I love the possum ASMR sounds in this, by the way. Oh my god.
Grow a habit. And please share your experience in the comments section. And while you're there, might as well subscribe, It would make us happy. Wouldn't that make you happy? Yes. Make us happy over here.
Oh my god, look at his face! Oh god, that's loud.
My. The elephant in the room
That's loud.
is back, reminding us that the vast majority of possums
Welcome back, guys!
and other wildlife belong outside. If you see them there, leave them there. If you come across an ill, injured, or orphaned animal, contact a professional wildlife rehabilitator immediately. Follow what they say. Keep the animal warm, dry, dark, and quiet. Don't feed, don't improvise, and do what you can to assist with the transport. Thank you for caring.
Yeah. Yeah, so this woman is a national treasure. I love her. You should subscribe to her. You should like every single one of her videos. You should leave a comment. You should engage as much as possible with her content. You should subscribe to a Patreon if she has one. You should suggest that she tries to get cast in radio plays. I love her. I adore her. And we need more of her. Yeah, that is Me Pearl on YouTube. I will link the channel again. She is our mother, and we love her. Anyways. So, next up we have the video by VO2bing, addressing rhizomes harassment on me and my artists. I was linked this earlier. It didn't really, like, usually VTuber drama I don't get too into, but this is something where it comes to, like, artistic, I guess, creative, like, basically what is considered transformative art versus not. And when it comes to emotes, I have an extremely liberal stance on it. So this is an interesting one. Let me go ahead and... I hate that I have to. I wish that I didn't have to... So yeah, we have, wait, did I tell you about a rant? This might have been it. This is a, yeah, I have a lot to say about this. I definitely have a lot to fucking say about this. So, Thorns, I believe you know who Rhizome is. I'm not familiar with this VTuber, VOTube, but they fucking cook in this video, man. And if you've been on the internet today, you're probably aware of this, drama. So...
I want this space to be comfortable for people and not just get demonized or like just feel uncomfortable to the point where they don't want to fucking be here. Wait, is VO copying my emotes? So she just reskinned my emotes? Oh, cool. Looks like 16 of my emotes got lifted. Like, oh, cool. There's a bounce. No, me and Rare Flowers created. Shake is literally, why are they all mine? That's so fucked up. She stole them and made them ugly. Yeah, that's true too. You can tell the new emotes are lazy copies too. Definitely not as much time and effort as you put into them. There was an intentional stealing of like 16 at least emotes from this channel in a rebranding for VO's channel. Name and shame publicly. Everyone knows it's VO.
Hey guys, I'm VO, and as some of you may have heard, I released 7
cute model, honestly. I'm like very busy VTuber models I'm not usually a fan of. I quite like this one.
new emotes.
I like her little sparkly wings. It reminds me of like it reminds me of a nail polish that I have. It's cute.
It's for my channel. A few days after releasing my emotes, I noticed people piling into my offline
She reminds me of like the Legion expansion of World of Warcraft a bit.
chat, calling me a thief. Upon further investigation, I was extremely shocked to find out that Rhizome had not only gone on a rant about how I maliciously debuted 16 of his emotes and stole his original work from his channel, but also has been encouraging his viewers to dogpile and say nasty comments not just about me, but about my artist Feed Me and his hard work as well. I'm sure you're dying to see what original emotes I have allegedly maliciously stolen and traced from Rhizome's channel, so let's get into it.
I just saw the raw one today and I was honestly grossed out by how bad it looks. That's the thing about imitations too, is they're always gonna look worse. Like ours looks good because I tailor made them for.
So immediately at this point in the video, when I watched this originally, I was just like, okay, oh, Stream Elements is back up online. I was immediately like, okay, so most of the Rhizome, like I've seen the Rhizome emotes quite a bit. a lot of people that I know are subscribed to Rhizome, so they use them. They're Pepe's, but some of them are upgraded, and there are some like modifications on them or original ideas, I would say. A couple of them. However, I don't think that's like automatically when you're modifying a Pepe, I don't think that you have any sort of like artistic like you don't have any IP control over that. You're already taking a character who the artist of such character does not like the way they've been co-opted to begin with, right? And you're using them for your content already. It's kind of like if I said, oh, this recolored Mickey Mouse, like, emote that I made, you stole it. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? This, like, Miku Hatsune, like, clone that I have. Like, you stole, like, this little dance that I did. What the fuck do you mean?
Or the channel. That looks like it got...
Obviously, I'm biased, because like I said, that was my original idea, was this... It's an edited Pepe. What the fuck are you talking about?
Got punched in the fucking face. Like, it doesn't have any sense of, like, how to connote the emotion that it's even going for because it's unoriginal. You know, like, rot is an original emote. That's me. I had the thought, I was like, this is what it would look like. It's like a dude decaying in his chair, rotting away. And that's why it looks good. Because, like,
Guess what, guys? Guess what, guys? Guess what, guys? Original fucking emote. Original fucking emote here. Guess what, guys? I definitely didn't steal this from a chat that I'm in. I definitely didn't steal this from a Discord bot doing a squish fucking animation on, like, a random person's face or anything like that. Original content, do not steal.
I know why the decisions were made to reskin it and be like, yeah, look at my new shit. It's crazy.
Spoiler alert, not one emote was stolen, traced, or directly lifted from his channel, but let's continue.
Traced is a fucking crazy goddamn, like, accusation when it comes to this. Okay, let's get into it. I'm gonna stop pausing.
No. Like, when it turns its head, there's the smear frames. So we learned that for that emote, and those were lifted.
1. Just because you learned a technique that existed since the 30s doesn't mean you can now gatekeep it. And 2, ours doesn't even really have smear frames anyways, and in fact needed an additional 7 frames because it is animated so differently.
Yeah, that's definitely what I noticed as well. It doesn't have smear frames. It's just like its little face shaking.
The inspiration comes from the Nopers emote, but also from a GIF from the anime Boki the Rock. There are many reiterations of this GIF as an emote, and many other streamers have their own versions of this emote as well.
But, like, skip itself is for this channel, because, like, we skip or we lock stuff.
This is a crazy one. This is a crazy one. Like Peppo skip, like this little thing I have seen so often. And honestly, like, I've seen the Peppo skip version of it more than I've seen the Rhizome version of it, even in a community that heavily subscribes to fucking Rhizome.
The skip emote being unique to Rhizome's channel is just completely false. People skip has been around and been a meme in channels for as long as I can remember, and VO skip has been a meme in my channel in multiple ways for years now. As you can see, our emotes have clear stylistic and animation differences and use different references, colors, horns, proportions, and in every case, completely different characters so unique that each one has its own individualized horns. To call these emotes traced or stolen when they clearly weren't is not only wrong, but it's also harmful to both me and the artist who made them. Besides, emotes have always been derivative by nature, and this is literally how Twitch and emote culture work. They reflect a community's emotions, memes, and personality through art in the chat. And seeing as Rhizome himself uses blue Pepes as his mascot and has made his own versions of Pepe emotes and memes that already exist, I thought he'd understand that better.
Especially because the Rhizome emotes are not transformed at all from the Pepe emotes. They're just a blue recolored version of it. This is why this drama was so crazy to me. Because, like, his emotes are some of, like, they're good, they're functional, but they're, like, very low effort. I mean, I think that's what makes them, like, good Pepe variants.
Than anyone. At the end
is that they're just rip-offs.
End of the day, inspiration is not theft. My emotes are unique to my community, just like his emotes are unique to his community. And while I thought this was clear...
Here's a take. I think the original creator of Pepe the Frog needs monetary compensation for every creator that uses his base creation of Pepe. That would fix all of this. That is evil. I don't agree with that at all. That would be entirely untenable, but I agree. I mean, that is consistent with basically what people like Rhizome are suggesting, right?
I wanted to lay out the facts so you can see the...
Yeah, they're derivative. They're not stolen. Like, okay, she's gonna go into like the frame by frame here, and you're gonna see that the amount of effort that went into, if these were quote unquote stolen, if you're gonna consider that, like, if you take something like that is original content and you transform it with a certain amount of effort, it's considered transformative enough to not be infringing on copyright. Like, she goes like her whoever was the artist for these emotes goes above and beyond this shit.
The truth for yourself. By his own logic, my emotes clearly aren't stolen. So you can imagine my confusion when I watched Rhizome spend 2 days on stream maliciously ranting about me and Feed Me and spreading harmful lies. Now, it's important to me to go through the rest of the emotes that he accused me of maliciously stealing. However, if you've already seen enough and want to see Rhizome's horrendous behavior, feel free to skip ahead to this timestamp. Let's start with VioWow and Rise Ooh. As you can see, mine has a more zoomed out face, a single fang, forked tongue, oval pupils, and white eye highlights. It also has horns, different colors, and no shading. This was clearly inspired and not traced. As for the reference, I've actually had different versions of this WoW emote for almost a decade now. Here's one I commissioned back in 2017, and here's the original reference, being the classic Pepe WoW emote that many people have a version of as well. Next, we have VioEw and Rise Ew. The eye and face structure are completely different. Mine has horns, the colors don't match, there's no shading, and the line work is much thicker. And as for inspiration, it's literally just the Pepe cringe emote. Next, we have Vio Blankies and Rise Blankies. Mine has a different robe with a different hood, dotted details on the robe, a bigger head and face structure, horns, a different body shape, and they're completely different colors. And as for the reference, it's literally just the classic Blankies emote, which tons of streamers have their own versions of.
Okay, yeah, so let's look at the transformative nature of her Blankies emote versus Rhizome's versus the original. Which, like I said, I've seen the Rhizome emote versus more than I've seen the original Blankies emote. So if somebody said, okay, it was originated on his channel, not like an actual Peppo, yeah, I'd say, okay, yeah, she took inspiration from it. But there is clear transformative, like you're using a character. What do you mean?
Two. Next is Vio Hyper Blankies and Rise Hyper Blankies. Ours has a demonic style, an animated face with animated facial gestures, claws under the robe, horns on the shoulders, hand-drawn greenish yellowish.
It doesn't, here's the thing, Thorns, it doesn't matter if her emotes are close to Rhizome's, because Rhizome's are all close enough to original Pepe drawings that, like, for him to claim some sort of intellectual property over it, like, I'm just gonna let her talk about this, but the way that this transpires does not make any sense to me. If you were somebody who had a open line of contact to a content creator that you thought was openly ripping off your emotes, right? For example, like, I have several emotes in my channel that are just ripped off from things that other people created. I asked them for permission. If they didn't answer, I just took it anyways, and I assumed that they would tell me if they didn't want me to have it on my channel.
Fire instead of just putting a gif of fire behind it, a different body shape, and different colors. For the reference, Chaos emotes have been a part of Twitch for as long as I can remember, and I've even commissioned different versions of this in the past. Next,
like, I don't see how you can recolor somebody's original art and then claim some sort of intellectual property over somebody who's obviously reanimating it and making a lot more artistic liberties than you made with the original edit.
Next is Vio Yump and Rise Bounce. Ours has white highlights in the eyes, a slower animation, and when the body turns left, it jumps twice quickly instead of just once. It also has horns, a different body shape and colors, and yes, it's true, a fat ass. For the reference, it's literally just another Pepe Yump emote, which a lot of other streamers have their own versions of as well, including ones where they jump left and right instead of just jumping in place. Next is.
And I would say on that one, that was one of that was one of the ones she could have said, okay, we have a lot more artistic inspiration from this one, obviously, because we moved the hands and stuff. Like, maybe people took, like, maybe the particular artist of this took artistic liberty from that. But taking inspiration from something and recreating it, especially, like I said, when it is a recognizable character where the benefit of having that character as an emote is that it is a recognizable emote. People already relate to it, right? That's kind of like the beauty of Pepe's in general.
Is Vio Pain and Rise Pain. Every frame in ours is uniquely drawn using a technique called jitter, where you redraw each frame slightly differently to make the face more animated and give it more expression. It's also giving suffering, not shivering. The tongue moves differently, the gum and palate twitch, there are red blurs in the eyes instead of veins, our emote has horns, a different body shape, and different colors. You get the gist. Here's the reference, a popular SpongeBob gif called My Eyes. So, as you can see, our emote was clearly inspired inspired by the meme and wasn't traced. As for Rhizome's version, well...
And Rise Pain I traced from my eyes.
Next up is VO Flop and Rise Flop. As you can see, they're animated completely differently. Ours has a forked tongue, different eyes, mouth, body shape, colors, horns, and yes, once again, it is guilty of having a fat ass that it's bouncing on. The reference was my previous Humpers emotes that I've had for years, as well as the other popular emotes such as Omega Lol or Omega Lol Dying, which many other streamers have their own versions of as well. VO Glitch is literally just a glitched pink version of VO Flop that I made by mistake. Rise doesn't have an emote like this, so I'm not sure what he's referencing here. We have VO Vom and Rise Sick. Ours has more unique frames when turning back and forth. The whole body wobbles and not just the eyes. The pupils shrink, the back of the head twitches with the puke, and the puke is a rainbow. There's no green face, it has horns, a different body shape, different colors, no shading, thicker lines, and a single fang. While we were clearly inspired by how Rhizome's emote turns around to vomit, we also used many other emotes, gifs, and memes as reference. Next is VO Shook and Rise Shake. Ours is clunkier, has bigger jumps, isn't sweating, and is less smooth. It also has a cleft chin, horns, a different body shape, and different colors. The reference is the original Peppa Shake emote, which, once again, many streamers have their own versions of. Next is VO Wine and Rise Wine. In our emote, the wine doesn't move when the glass swings, the smile is bigger, and the animation is slower. It also has white eye highlights, a blue body color referencing the German phrase blau sein, which means to be blue or meaning drunk, and a pink face to emphasize being tipsy. It also has horns and different colors. The reference is the original People Wine emote, which, again, many streamers have their own versions of. Next is VO Wub and Rise Wobble. Our emote has a different body shape. It also has a gigantic ass that it's bouncing on, different sunglasses with unique reflections, horns that also look like a hairstyle, and it has different colors. The reference is the classic Rare Parrot emote, which, you guessed it, tons of streamers have their own versions of as well. The difference is that Feed Me animated mine to bounce on its ass cheeks instead of sliding.
Whether you say it's transformative or a variant, it's basically the same thing, right?
Side to side. Speaking of slide, next is VO Jamji Slide and Rise Slide. Mine is just our existing Jamji emote animated to slide. Tons of emotes use this sliding animation. It's nothing unique, original, or exclusive. We have VO Fwend and Rise Cat. For one, ours has a fat ass again. It's also animated completely differently. It goes forwards and backwards and not side to side. Our emote's smile gets bigger as the face moves back, and the little gremlin it's holding is inspired by a labubu, not a cat. Also, unlike the cat, my gremlin is not meowing, it just stares at you menacingly. The arms move differently and they don't fully close. Plus, both gremlins have horns, the body shapes are different, and the colors are different as well. As for the reference, I've had a penguin hugging a cat emote for years, and a Pepe hugging something and going side to side has been around for a long time too. Once again, there are many versions of this emote, and it's not something original or unique. Honestly, I would have preferred to have had this conversation in private and resolved it in 20 minutes, but on the other hand, this whole thing led me to find out what kind of person Rhizome really is.
I mean, I can't watch VO stream anymore because whenever my service dog hears Mike's...
Yeah, by all means, use both of their emotes. Like, I like the Rhizome emotes because there are variants on it, and it's just like a normal Pepe emote. But to treat it like there's some sort of intellectual property when emotes by their nature are supposed to be like transformative of a previous iteration, right? Like, it doesn't make any real sense, especially because apparently these two did have a line of communication. So if Rhizome thought there was some sort of like intellectual property theft that was malicious, he should have just contacted this lady.
His voice, he leaves the fucking room, so I haven't been in there in a while.
But by all means, keep using emotes.
That's so fucking funny.
Hilarious. Anyways, you're probably wondering, how did Rhizome approach the situation? Well, after seeing a non-sub in his chat posting a single emote of mine, this is how he reacted.
Wait, is VO copying my emotes?
Instead of reaching out to me to get some clarity, Rhizome immediately starts a parasocial witch hunt. He then frames me as a malicious thief, encouraging his chatters to dogpile both me and Feed Me, which hasn't stopped to this day. After sicking his community on me by validating countless comments like these...
I hate to be the one that says it, but it seems very intentional. Oh, I agree. Oh, I don't think it's a coincidence at all. It's so obvious.
He also makes no attempt to de-escalate the situation he created. In fact, when one of his mods attempts to de-escalate the situation by suggesting that it would be worth it to reach out, this is how he responded.
Maybe worth reaching out. Why was I not reached out to?
During his rant, his viewers also decided to pile into my offline chat to call me a thief and even showed up to harass me during my own live streams. To my surprise, Rhizome refused to call out the chatters who were dogpiling me and feed me and openly discussing, brigading, and harassing us. Not only did his hateful rant embolden chatters to harass us in my own chat, but they also went out of their way to target both me and feed me in other leftist spaces. For example, here's how some Rhizome chatters reacted in Mari's chat after she complimented my emotes, along with more of them harassing me in Caroline's and Jason's chats. Even one of Gremlo's mods, who goes by the username Boiled Peanuts, is actively harassing my artist Feed Me. Not only have they been spreading an incredibly harmful and slanderous lie that my artist used AI to create the emotes, they even gleefully bring up how they are a mod in Gremlo's channel and that they plan to continue to harass my artist Feed Me whenever they get the chance. Now, I assume Gremlo isn't aware of this because I know he wouldn't allow his own mods to harass creators. However, it is still concerning that this is happening in leftist spaces. On top of that, Rhizome deliberately framed this as a parasocial issue by claiming that I stole not just from him, but from his entire community.
Like, I had you guys choose the emotes. They're all ideas like that we create together, I feel. You and I are like, okay, yeah, this could work.
This was especially shocking since Rhizome has been very vocal about leftist creators treating personal conflicts delicately and taking
transformative work adds new meaning or purpose that can be legally protected, while a variant merely imitates the original and rarely gains its own rights. Okay, if that's a specific legal definition, then I agree with you entirely, Hufflepuffy. It is a variant, not transformative. Thank you for specifying that.
taking accountability for their chat if they start dogpiling other creators.
And I want this space to be comfortable for people to contribute to the conversation in whatever way they can and not just get demonized or like just feel uncomfortable to the point where they don't want to fucking be here.
He constantly claims to understand just how harmful parasocial dynamics with chatters can be, yet fails to uphold any of his own standards even when confronted on it. This ongoing witch hunt has made me feel so anxious and unsafe that I haven't been able to stream and can't even type in other people's chats without worrying I'll be harassed again. This includes chats of people I'm friends with. I can't even imagine how Feed Me feels as a marginalized freelance artist who found a home in these communities. What happened next shocked me beyond belief. The next day, I was hoping that things settled down and I was prepared to reach out to Rhizome to clear the air. But just as I was about to message him, I discovered that he had permanently banned me from his chats at 10:28 a.m. At that point, I assumed he had already made up his mind that I was nothing more than a malicious, backstabbing thief and that he had no interest in speaking with me or hearing me out. So I decided to move on. Just a couple of hours after I had been permanently banned from his channel, Rhizome reaches out to one of my closest friends, Caseytron, to, quote, get her opinion. Considering the malicious rant he went on the day before and the fact that I was permanently banned from his channel, this didn't feel like he was reaching out in good faith. And my suspicions were confirmed when I saw the rest of the conversation. As ridiculous as it is, the next segment will be told through Caseytron's DMs since this coward refused to speak to me directly. I'll be summarizing the key points, but feel free to pause the video if you want to read through everything yourself. He immediately begins with a lie, claiming that his chat had brought something to his attention, when in reality, no one had mentioned my emotes in the context of copying him. In reality, a single emote had been posted by a non-sub who was merely reacting to the video and participating in chat, and Rhizome saw that as an opportunity to bring it up himself. He then asks her for advice on how to handle it and says how he is fucked up and wronged by it in an attempt to paint himself as a victim and emotionally manipulate Casey. Casey mentions that I was thrown off guard and hurt by Rhizome. She brings up how there are many reiterations of the Pepe memes and also mentions that she saw my emotes and disagrees with Rhizome on them being reskins. At this point, it was starting to become clear that this had never been about simply getting an opinion or getting clarity. He acknowledges Casey mentioning that nothing malicious was happening, but then immediately dismisses it because he feels like the new emotes are stolen. He doesn't provide any images, references, or proof whatsoever with this claim and frames the whole thing as a grand act of personal betrayal.
Yeah, this is like, by the way, this is like the most damning part of it, in my opinion, where he's like, there's 9 original works that are, like, the fact that she blocked he blocked her and didn't reach out to her at all, but reach out to friends of her as well. This is kind of like snaky as fuck. This makes no sense to me.
Had to be
It seems like he wants to like maintain this narrative.
malicious. He then tries to claim that me asking Casey, who's been a close friend of mine for years, for help with the harassment I've been facing was evidence that I must be acting maliciously. Casey reiterates and confirms that there was no malice behind anything I'm doing, including me reaching out to her. She then asks if there's anything she can pass along.
We
Rhizome
love Casey
completely
Strong, by
ignores
the way.
everything Casey said, and
Fucking
instead
queen.
he tells Casey to tell me that 1, he feels like this was deliberate thievery, 2, that I should have asked for his permission and even his advice before making emotes, which is just weird, and because we're quote-unquote friends, which really he's just exaggerating a connection that's really casual at best. 3, that I should credit him, and 4, that I should reach out to him. At this point, it's clear Rhizome isn't interested in resolving anything, but instead is fixated on damaging mine and Feed Me's reputation by pushing this baseless claim that we stole 16 of his emotes without a shred of proof. Casey tells him she'll pass along his message and once again emphasizes that there was no malice involved. Rhizome responds that he really hopes she's right, as if he couldn't just message me directly from the start and resolved everything in 20 minutes. Instead, he went out of his way to reach out to the people around me and accuse me of theft. Casey tries to wrap up the conversation with a supportive message, but then Rhizome takes a chance to lie again. He claims he didn't jump on the attack, which everyone clearly saw he did. Then he inflates our friendship over and over again and reiterates that I betrayed him. Keep in mind, our entire quote-unquote friendship consists of 3 DMs back in 2023 and hanging out 2 separate times for a couple of hours at TwitchCon 2023 and TwitchCon 2024. If we are as close as
That's fucking insane too, for him to like pearl clutch over this. That's fucking
he
crazy.
claims, how come he never reached out to me when I was unfairly banned for 30 days back in October to check in on me? Being this parasocial and delulu with a streamer that you spoke to a couple of times is one thing, but acting on it to try and drama farm, that's just a whole new level of disgusting and pathetic. Casey pushes back, reminding Rhizome that the way he handled this has hurt both me and Feed Me, and she emphasizes once again that nothing was done behind his back. She also calls out the nasty comments he made about Feed Me's art, urging him to apologize since his behavior was completely uncalled for and utterly disgusting. Rhizome responds by, once again, you guessed it, lying. He downplays his reaction and says he isn't sure if he even brought it out on stream. He mentions telling his chat not to attack anyone on his behalf. Meanwhile, he claimed I should be named and shamed and spent nearly an hour relentlessly slandering and attacking both me and Feed Me, egging his chat on to dogpile both of us. And even then, it was only mentioned after an hour of ranting because one of his viewers forced a poll onto the screen asking whether they should let those involved handle it on their own. Instead of recognizing how fucked up it was of him to go after Feed Me and insult his hard work and art, calling it sloppy, lazy, ugly, and traced, he excuses it and justifies it by calling it an emotional reaction. The next part is so fucking bizarre, I don't even know where to start. For the first time, he finally admits this could have just been innocent, but then flips it, saying it's on me to reach out to him. Bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? In what world does a grown-ass adult go out of their way to bully and harass someone, then expect that same person to reach out and apologize for their unwarranted, self-fabricated emotional meltdown over some fucking emotes? Especially when all of it could have been avoided with a single quick message, especially if, as he claims, we're supposedly so close. He went out of his way to create and
Like I
uphold
said,
this narrative both
the weaponization of the friendship when it comes to this is like the weirdest thing to me, because you're either going to say that you have a close relationship with somebody and you're going to try to handle things privately with them, right? Or you don't have a close relationship with them, you don't trust them, and you're going to handle them in public. Don't try to weaponize this closeness and then handle things in public.
Publicly and privately that I maliciously stole 16 of his emotes and that my artist just traced his original art.
Yeah,
and then
like, I don't
permabans me
expect
from
better
his
from these
chat,
people, but
yet
I,
somehow expects me to reach out
I understand
to
her frustration.
him. And when Casey reiterates again that there was no malicious intent and urges him to apologize for his hateful behavior, here's what he says. This so-called apology is hard to take seriously when everything he's apologizing for are things he's still actively encouraging. Not only was his chat openly discussing brigading me, but none of it was called out or timed out either. If anything, it was encouraged. So no, he absolutely did not step in the moment he saw it. This non-apology is just riddled with lies. He ends his apology by saying that Feed Me and I don't put in the time and energy to create and curate our emotes, and that we don't make them in-house, and that they aren't tailor-made for our communities. He admits to using the Peepo character, but then flat out lies by claiming there are animations and concepts that don't exist outside of his channel and that they were blatantly copied, just to prop up his narrative that we're maliciously stealing directly from him. The credit angle is also just laughable, considering how much credit and support I have been giving him over the years. For example, whenever I've seen one of his new emotes that was clearly inspired by one of ours, such as VO Shake and Rice Cheeks, I've reacted excitedly and told my chatters to go sub to him so we could have matching emotes. And if I had ever felt weird about something being inspired by me, I would never in a million years drag it onto stream the way he did, and would have handled it privately. That's how I've always operated. I'm gonna be real. This is hands down the most insane non-apology I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. And honestly, it doesn't even feel like Rhizome is talking to me in his pass along message. At best, he's talking at Casey rather than having a conversation with her, and at worst, he's still trying to convince her that I maliciously stole his emotes. This passed along message just comes off as manipulative, and honestly, it's just fucking weird. You're a grown-ass adult. What the fuck are you doing? To dump the task of figuring out his emote drama on Casey while she's literally dealing with non-stop harassment, a lawsuit that's trying to bankrupt her, and taking care of her disabled parents, dragging Casey into this bullshit of all people is beyond shameless and just straight up fucking despicable. Rhizome continues to make this Casey's problem and has no issue following up with her to make sure there is a back and forth happening, yet still can't reach out to me himself. Instead of apologizing and admitting he handled things atrociously, he tells Casey he plans to keep pushing the narrative. Shortly after that message to Casey, Rhizome goes live and pretty much immediately starts lying about the situation.
Because like, as a lot of you guys know, VO debuted 16 new emotes this week, each of which was like ripped and reskinned for my channel, and I still have not heard from them about it. So like, I don't know their side of the story. They know that I want to talk. My sentiments have been communicated. All I know is 16 of our designs ended up on VO's stream. Each new emote that was debuted came from this channel. The thought of taking 16 of my emotes was had between VO and her artist. No credit was given to me. So that's where things stand right now. That's all I know right now. There's been no response. As of now, I have banned VO and Feed Me Don't Kill Me from this chat. That was a decision that I made because I was just like, if I can't hear from you and if you're just using access to my channel to steal work for me, I'm not gonna allow you in here. I don't.
This is insane. Like, you're using, okay. So like I said, emotes are something that is carried, that are often like imitated, recreated for different creators. The idea that like somehow just having access to your channel, right? Because even if somebody like, you don't even have to have access to somebody's fucking channel. If you have a similar chatter in common and they use your fucking Twitch emotes, you might see that and think, oh, that's a productive, that's a cool, like, vibe that I want to capture in my fucking emotes. Like, I don't know. This is just, like, I feel like there has to be more to this. There has to be more to this because this is just, like, such a over-the-top reaction from Rhizome.
Want to have you in here. You don't have access to my community then. I'm willing to change that, but like I haven't heard, like if this was a mistake, if this was unintended, if this was, I just haven't heard that. I haven't heard any of that. I haven't heard anything at all. It's tough to deal with stuff when you're online, having an emotional reaction, because it's like I said mean things at the time of, but it's like I'm pissed and I'm hurt.
What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude.
Then, despite saying that he wants to move on, he cherry picks this comment, even though it's completely unrelated to the current content.
You think VO stealing emotes is connected to you calling out Mike? Bro, listen, I don't know. I don't know their side of the story. I told them I want to reach out. That's such a weird, if that is the case, that's a really, really weird thing to do.
I've noticed Rhizome pushing this narrative that I'm doing this to avenge
Chatters
Mike,
just
which
kind of
is
like
just
intervening and then being
blatantly
like, oh,
sexist.
this is a good
It's
narrative.
incredibly
Let me pick this up.
frustrating to constantly be seen as an extension of the man in your life instead of your own person, especially coming from another leftist space.
Yeah, the other thing that I don't like is we know that both Vio and Mike look at things very personally. At no point was I trying to do personal attacks or get on a personal level with this. I do not want to make that personal whatsoever. I just don't want my emote designs lifted with no credit at all given or no communication at all whatsoever, then released as.
And like I said, if he shows that he tried to communicate with this person and they didn't communicate back at the end of this, he would be in the right. But so far, it seems like, yeah, he didn't actually try to reach out to this person in private. Like, unless he has like a legitimate reason why he didn't trust that a private communication would be honored and would be like used against him, then why the fuck is he saying this?
Like their own thing.
This whole thing was framed as personal to Rhizome to begin with, and all he has done is make personal attacks on me, Feed Me, and now Mike too. To claim he didn't want to make it personal after all the slanderous shit he said is ludicrous and just astronomical levels of projection.
Like Ethan was on screen and I typed Rise Sick and it wouldn't post, so you can't put my emotes in Mike's chat right now. See, this is what I mean by they make things really personal.
Some of Rhizome's emotes were temporarily disabled because his chatters go out of their way to harass not just me and my artist, but anyone using my emotes as well, and Rhizome was well aware of this. Instead of addressing his viewers on their harassment, he tries to spin it like it's some kind of personal attack on him. The cry bullying doesn't stop there.
This is why I didn't want to stream today. I'm just trying to have my space and do my thing. That's how it's been. My designs have been stolen. I've ended up on somebody else's channel. I didn't ask for that. I'm trying to like figure out what happened there. I can't figure that out. Like it's just being treated like this weird drama team battle kind of thing. Like why can't I figure out why those were lifted in this way?
Anyways, his own mod then jumps in to try to get Rhizome to move on, and Rhizome pushes back.
Well, let's put it on the back burner. It's none of our business. It's gonna be tough because people are gonna come in and ask about it. Like, when things happen publicly, it's tough to keep it not public. If 16 designs are released publicly, people are gonna see it, and that's why it was brought to my attention. The reason I wanted to like hear from them is because it would be like, at least I have something to tell you guys other than I'm just upset about it.
We all saw what happened. Rhizome was the only person who brought it up in this context. Rhizome made this a public issue. Rhizome escalated this. Rhizome incited harassment towards myself and my artist. Rhizome was told that none of it was malicious, but completely ignores that. Rhizome continues to push this harmful narrative, but then tries to act like the victim. I thought this is where it would end and that this dipshit would finally move on like he said he would, but days later, he reaches back out to Casey again with some crazy shit. He claims that I was only reaching out to Casey to do damage control. Now, I know having real friends might be a foreign concept to Rhizome, but typically when you are actually close to someone, you feel like you can reach out to them with things that are going on in your life. This is clearly just projection. He then starts confirming his suspicions with Casey, trying to convince her that I'm actually this malicious person who stole his emotes and betrayed his friendship. I love how he mentions that the situation he created is now making him feel at risk with other creators. A, it seems like this is exactly what he was trying to do with me, which is put my friendship with other creators at risk, and B, he did this to himself by trying to drag other people into it and showing his crazy drama farming ass behavior over some fucking emotes. Casey's response is just, mwah, chef's kiss. In conclusion, instead of de-escalating or clarifying the situation with me, he kept pushing a harmful narrative despite being told that there was no malice involved. He incited harassment, lied, cry-bullied, and shown zero real interest in resolution. This isn't someone who wanted the truth, and this most certainly isn't someone who is trying to hold themselves by their own standards. This whole thing has been incredibly painful for both me and my artist, and I hope that we are able to safely exist in this space again and move on from this situation. To Rhizome, if you are watching this, I hope you are able to reflect on your horrendous behavior. An apology is the least you can do for both me and my artist, as well as giving your community the real update. I hope I was able to clarify everything, and thank you for listening. Bye!
I know exactly what I choose to talk about and exactly what I choose not to talk about.
So I think that one of the coolest things about being a human is the fact—
No, don't autoplay. Don't autoplay my fucking recommendations, you bitch. You fucker. You asshole. Alright. Alright, so that is the end of the fucking bullshit rhizome emo drama. Like, obviously I side with the VTuber on this. I think that it's really dumb to try to claim intellectual property over a modification of the fucking Peppo. That's very strange to me. That makes no goddamn sense. So, let's see. We can get into the live and learn shit. I'm gonna be playing Barony while we're going over this. This is a long one. This video is, so... God, I hate that I have to do this every fucking time. Picture-in-picture, OBS, browser, properties, picture-in-fucking... So I guess we're gonna go on to the live and learn shit. So there was a drama with Mr. Hutch, Mr. Pisco, Mr. Josiah. IRI and Soypill really didn't have much of a presence in this, but yeah, we're gonna go over this as well while I play some Barony, just to fuck around. Yeah. Why is misogyny auto-modded? What the fuck is wrong? Wait, like, yeah, what is up with that? That should, wait a second, wait a second. How in the fuck? I'll fix that later. Alright, we're gonna go on with this. Anyways, OBS. All good, all good, all good. Okay. So yeah, this is the last of the Live and Learn panels. Live and Learn was an interesting experiment in my opinion because it was basically just... they had Econoboy on originally as one of their, like, standard, content creators that was on every week, and he had a pretty good presence against Hutch. And then it was like Josiah and Pisco was able to be a little bit more lived out, I think, in that iteration of it. Then Econoboy left, and you gained Soypill, you gained some other, you know, occasional guest, and then you gained IRI. And now it's just a bunch of liberals whinging at each other, and Josiah and Pisco. So we're gonna go through this. This is an interesting, yeah, show.
Titled, yes,
I am entitled to my shitty catchphrases and my Bill O'Reilly. By the way, it's funny.
Yes, we saw it.
You saw my Bill O'Reilly video?
Yes,
Dude,
I did.
fuck Bill O'Reilly. Listen, let me tell you, that guy, he says all the time, he's like, you know, everybody who knows me knows I go right down the middle. I just call balls and strikes. But I gotta say, maybe the Pentagon putting these, you know, requirements in place for reporters, maybe that goes a bit too far. Like,
yeah, it's weird that a reporter would be against a rule mandating you to be like a North Korean style presenter, and you always take the government's position on everything. It seems to cut against the very heart of journalism. I mean, I
he's
think
a journalist. He wants you to know that. He wants you to know he's a journalist.
He's been pushing this like balls and strike thing.
Sorry, I was a little distracted. I was trying to find the fucking... I have like 5 fucking Chromes open. I was trying to find the one that actually has this playing so I could turn it up a little bit.
Ever since like the early 2000s with Jon Stewart and all that stuff.
When he was on The Factor. Yeah.
Oh,
do you guys remember the speaking of Jon Stewart, do you all remember it was the year was 2012. It was a simpler time. And Bill O'Reilly and Jon Stewart had, I think it was called the Rumble in the meticulously air-conditioned auditorium, and that's
the Bullshit Mountain one, right?
The Bullshit Mountain one, yeah. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah,
IRI, Hutch?
No.
You don't remember the...
It's before IRI's time. He's too young.
I wasn't paying attention to politics.
You weren't?
Not in 2012. No, I started paying attention like 2016.
Damn.
Yeah, you gotta remember, IRI he was in music videos. He was like a Hollywood celebrity.
He's
by
a
the way,
bloomer.
I think I saw somewhere. Were you back on with I'm blanking on the fucking group.
Yes, he was.
Where the fuck did you go?
Were you on stage with them?
Get over there.
This weekend I was on stage with them.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Damn,
I was at a festival.
Awesome.
When we were young, it was like a bunch of emo bands like Blink 182.
I had to kill him
Avril
myself,
Lavigne,
you idiot.
In Vegas.
Did they get your autograph?
I took a picture with Avril Lavigne, met her, and yeah, some people like that.
I want to see that picture because after that not so erudite picture with Gavin Newsom, my entire I feel like I'm 2 degrees away from everyone famous.
You are. It's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but 6 degrees of IRI.
Pisco, did you just say I'm 2 degrees away as if you're not co-hosting a podcast with someone who also took a photo with Gavin Newsom?
Oh, you did?
Wow.
Wow.
You didn't even see
No, I
it.
didn't see it. I didn't see it.
He put it in the group chat. He spammed it like
Yes,
40
I saw
fucking
it.
times.
I fucking saw it,
And
dude.
chat,
I mean, you love Gavin. You're so charmed at this point. This is how, by the way, how easy it is to get like the new media people to just stan any politician is just to give them 1 ounce of attention.
It's the other way around. I gave him money and now I get tax breaks. So.
Wait, I gotta know: is he as good looking in person as he comes off on, on camera?
He's pretty good looking. He looks
he?
like he was in a frat.
Oh fuck
What?
yeah!
Was he just posted in the partner lounge for anybody to come up to?
No, this was like an exclusive thing where like certain people with connections got in, and then a bunch of people dropped out because they're like, "What do you mean we can't live stream the one-on-one?" So I thought it might be a little sketch, but it was actually like a really good conversation. He in contrast to Ken Martin, was there asking the right questions, like, what the hell is Twitch? What's Facebook? What do I do? How do I reach out to these communities that you guys are like, catering to?
He asked, "What is Facebook?"
Not literally, but he's like, what's Discord? What's the difference between Discord and Twitch? Like, what do you guys
Martin
into?
did or Gavin did? Now
This
I'm
is what Gavin
was asking the right questions, and the right question is, what's the difference between Discord and Twitch?
Well, the real
question.
questions were, how do I reach out to these communities? What are your guys' concerns? How can you mobilize like your communities to help like us? Like the thing that Ken Martin didn't do. So
Hutch, Pisco, did anyone reach out to you guys about this? I didn't hear.
Oh no, yeah, no.
This fucking idiots. Like, no offense, not you, Soy Pill, but these guys. Like, who did they reach out to? Fucking Denims and Hassan's
I was
orbiters.
distracted for a second.
What the fuck, man?
Oh, there's some saltiness.
It was like a whole. It was a whole.
It
like,
pisses me off that they
Thank
don't reach
you.
out to people like
Good
us.
job.
Like,
Good job,
what
Skeleton
the
Son.
fuck?
Good job.
Can we shine
Thank
a light
you.
on that for
us.
just a second? Because I actually do want to draw attention to him. By the way, we're not alone. I think even David Pacman's been bitching about this lately.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah.
After the election, we were starting to see. I know I was starting.
I'm gonna be honest. It's really hard for me to focus on a game and this at the same time. I should probably just focus on this if I'm gonna focus on this. Okay. But I do love Barony. All right, we're just gonna focus in. We're gonna focus in, guys.
starting to see a lot more success in terms of getting responses from Congress people and senators. It almost seemed like they learned the lesson, like, okay, social media presence matters, and, we need to cast as wide of a net as possible. I got to say, over the past several months, that has been, it's like gone to back where it was pre-elections. Very difficult to get in touch with people.
And now Soy Pill soying out over Gavin Newsom asking what the difference is between Discord and Twitch.
No, I mean,
other things.
I think it's great that Soy Pill was able to land that, and he hangs out with Ro Khanna every fucking week. I mean, they go bar
I see
hopping
that.
together. It's insane.
He's
Ro
caught
Khanna
up.
says
And
Ro
Taylor
Khanna.
Lorenz. So he's and he doesn't get any shit for that, by the way. I get shit for being.
The beginning of this is just boring whinging. This is why I'm not gonna miss Live and Learn at all, and I'm really happy that Josiah is gonna have more time to do actual good content, because this is just like so pointless.
Like a communist, and Soy Pill's best friend is Taylor
If Hutch isn't getting his ass blown out, I don't care about Live and Learn.
Lorenz. I mean, what's the deal there?
Did Taylor know how close you are with Hutch? And the mad shit that Hutch.
Yeah, I can skip ahead if you want. If you like
about
time.
When she was talking shit about Hutch, I texted her. I was like, I think you think that Hutch is Dan Saltman.
Exactly. Well, you gotta have a wide range of sources. So I have people as far right as Hutch and IRI, and as far left as Aaron giving me my information. So
Hutch, the rabid Zionist.
yeah, and you as far left too. I have the communist blocked,
Right, yeah.
and I don't know where Soy Pill falls, but anyway.
Soy Pill's kind of
Slightly
part
right
of the gangster
Pisco,
left.
slightly left of Hutch. I'm somewhere in the middle there.
So you're enlightened centrist.
Seems about
But
right.
you think you're to the right of me?
I'm definitely to the right of you, Pisco, but barely. Like,
Who's the rightest person in the group here? Is it me?
I mean, we're all
You're
lit,
Hutch.
so this is like a silly distinction to make, I would say.
I think
you
probably
you're the
Hutch.
most left-wing person? Did I say something? I'm sorry.
Yes.
What? I didn't hear
Are
it.
you not? What'd you say?
Pisco is
asked,
the
do you
most optically left-wing person. I would say Josiah and Pisco are probably on the same level.
I'm the most left-wing person.
Yeah, Hutch is definitely the most. Hutch is the most right-wing. because he has the most animosity towards the left, if nothing else, because he doesn't really have any meaningful political prescriptions for any of the things that he talks about, and he only punches left.
And I mean, that's what Soypil kind of said.
Everybody else at least punches right, even if they have like more lived out kind of takes.
I don't know.
Well, what are your policy disagreements? Like, what do you do you guys both support Medicare for all?
Yeah, I feel like we are. You couldn't identify an issue. Can you identify an issue in which I'm more to the left of you, Soypil?
I think it's just like the vibe I get. Like, I guess technically I do have a very tiny podcast with a Marxist-Leninist, but like, but that's about. Wait, hold on. Wait.
You literally said I have a tiny.
But it's a movie podcast, so we never really talk politics, and when we do, we disagree. But
Soypil is like on the same level as short fat otaku as me. Is like, who is this for? Who are you? Who are you fucking making content for, man? Aside from like the lowest common denominator.
A Marxist-Leninist, first of all, and second of all, because you have a podcast with a leftist, you're a leftist.
No, but I think you would probably overlap more with
get along pretty
than
well,
I would, right?
I mean, I also have, I was considering back in the day, not anymore. I don't think he would do it. IRI, this would be of interest to you. I was going to do a show with Rob Noir for a little bit. We were going to do like a Hannity and Colm style thing.
Oh my God.
But he just, at this point, I think he's a little bit.
I would watch that. I would watch that over Livermore, honestly. Pisco's, he's okay at debating conservatives. Like, I don't know. Like, I didn't like his Tim Pool appearances, but aside from that, I feel like he's been striking a good cadence lately when it comes to debating conservatives.
But too angry all the time, so
dude,
I think we'd get great views. I think it would be fucking fire. But
also, I'm personally a huge fan of Mustache Pisco. I don't know about you guys.
But no, I wouldn't be a conservative if I did a show with Rob Noir.
I'm just trying to imagine how that show would go. I don't know if I could watch it. Like as much as I try to support everything you guys do, but if you had a show with Rob Noir, I don't think I could do it.
It would be fuego. Yeah. Like every week, just memorable fucking exchanges. I don't think it would be.
It would be like my Discord server. It would be like the swamp right now, where we have just like the craziest right wing, fucking most ideologically driven like conservatives, and then like these weird like these fucking weirdo centrists, and then these extreme leftists, these burnt out liberals, all in the same place. Yeah.
You worth it, bro. I think that would just be too.
I'll fix Automod. I'm sorry.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, fuck you, Hutch. I love you, buddy, but you're the only one here I don't think who has had the pleasure. Have you even debated Rob or had a conversation with? Oh, you have?
No, I've had
okay, well then I will throw my fuck you. Yeah.
Oh, wait, there was one about the troops where what was it? That one was funny.
Trump went into Arlington Cemetery and like
right. And he now wants to have a conversation about.
It's not a pedo stash. I don't think it's a pedo stash. I don't think it's I don't know. Like if he had different classes, maybe.
Was so good.
It's more of like a hipster stash.
Good. He rolled. Hutch rolled him so badly on that one. I forgot about that. And then I think I saw a Hippy Dippy or something, a panel with IRI where Rob just lost his shit at you. And was it Andrew?
And Pisco was on.
I was muted. So Hell Puppy says Soypil is the male version of Not So Erudite. I don't know if they are. Okay, so Not So Erudite is definitely trying to reach out more to the right, or like to the quote unquote center right. Soypil is definitely, he's like trying to reach out to young men. I just don't know if he's doing it effectively. Like I said, I don't know who this is for. I don't know who his content is for, man. Like, he's not too compelling to anybody that I know. Like, even the people that I know who are in his demographic that he's trying to seek are kind of like, yeah, he's all right sometimes. You know, he's kind of like, he's trying to appeal to his peers, that being men his age, and he's just very, like, not, I don't know, impressive
on that panel as well. Yeah.
Oh,
I won't talk to him. He's so annoying. But
yeah, to say that, like, Erudite, I feel like Erudite is mostly motivated by the fact that she like rejects her own presence as a woman. Like, she I feel like the way that she investigates her own womanhood is strongly through the lens of misogyny. She's not somebody who is able to accept herself as a person outside of that lens. It's very weird. Like, I do feel like I relate to Erudite a little bit in the way that I think she might have gender dysphoria in the same way that I do, but she definitely deals with it differently. I don't know. Like, I don't hate Erudite, man. I love her. She's kind of endearing sometimes. Like I said, that clip of her scratching her ass at the Unfuck America event, man, I was like, you know what? You know what? Sometimes you just gotta rearrange your stockings, man.
I won't talk
And it
about
looks a little awkward. No shame.
He is to Pisco. I know Pisco doesn't give a shit, but like, it drives me nuts that Pisco will patiently talk to him for like 3 hours, and they'll be like, and at the end of it, he'll walk away saying, "You're so disingenuous, Pisco. You're a liar." It's like, fuck you.
He
bro.
doesn't wait till the end. I wish he waited until the end. He doesn't even do that. Like,
no, he doesn't anymore.
Oh, really?
So I'm about to post a couple. I have some Rob Nork debates in the bank that I've never posted, so I'm posting.
I feel like if Erudite reached out more to autistic women, she would have a better time. I feel like that's the best outreach she does, because she just gets like, she puts herself in this weird subservient position with men, and it's confusing. Like, I feel like I said, I feel like it's not motivated by internalized misogyny. I feel like it's motivated by unaddressed gender dysphoria in herself, that she can't accept her role as a woman. She can't accept her place. Like, or not her place. She can't accept, like, the perception. She can't rise above the perception that she experiences. So she just, like, I don't know, has this over relation with men. It's strange.
Some of them, and going back on them, I can see like how polite I am to this guy.
That wasn't a complete thought. That was kind of like that was a clusterfuck
In these early conversations, and it's just how it's disintegrated since then.
And as soon as you like finally break the like, well, I'll be nice to you for 2 hours, and you're like, okay, dude, fuck you, that was bad faith. They're like, whoa, dude, you're totally coming at me. How dare you? Like, I've been nice, and now you're trolling me, and it's like, oh,
you
God,
gotta
so fragile.
You gotta put yourself in their shoes. Like, if you're like a MAGA supporting influencer, I mean, we all remember the Biden years. So sometimes that was difficult to defend. You know, like, we all did it, but sometimes it was like kind of exhausting. We didn't even have to come close to what these people have to rationalize. Like, they have to find a way to explain why they're okay with Donald Trump saying he would consider pardoning a woman who was convicted of raping children. You know, like, we've never had to do that.
And there's like shit on Americans. Like, that AI video is wild. I'm sorry.
Harry Sisson, and then Vance responded to him, right? He's like, I'll ask him,
Harry. I'll ask.
We are living in a bizarre matrix world
Just in case
where
you're
the president of the United States is posting AI videos of him taking a dump on Harry Sisson, and JD Vance is trolling about it.
Well, Pisco, it's much worse than that, because it's not just, like back in 2016, Trump posted stuff that was like the really crappy Photoshop.
The Harry Sisson stuff, by the way, is rage bait, and anybody like pearl clutching about it, yeah, obviously it is beneath the office of the president, but so many things have been in this. Like, yeah, I agree. You should like express disdain and then move on.
Sony Vegas,
because that's what they want. They want you to be like, oh my God, you can't do this, whatever. Just be like, ugh. Like, that's honestly what I do. I have one right-wing associate that's constantly like adding me with the most lowbrow right-wing Twitter posts. And at a certain point, you just have to realize that they just want a reaction. They just want attention. And if you just don't react, they start to realize that they are not even interesting. Like, it does bother them. That's what they want.
Biggest stuff of, Trump is, beating up CNN.
They want to be provocative. And the thing is, these are like AI generated literal shit posts, right? Do you know what you would do to that sort of post when it comes to like board culture or like old internet culture? You would just roll your eyes at it. You would, if you would call it out at all, you would call it out in a way that does not actually boost that post at all. You would just say, you didn't win. You didn't get what you wanted, which is attention. Move on.
And everyone freaked out about that. And that was bad. Don't get me wrong. But now it's, hey, I detest the millions of people that came out and protested against me this week, which is like, I don't know why that was the thing that made me go, oh my God, like that made the hair on my neck stand up, because it is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. But like the idea that like there could be this massive movement against a president and the president says, I hate all of you, I'm going to shit on you. That is like it must be how the MAGA has felt for the past 10 years when like Joe Biden says like
remember
there
when
are
they were
some
all
bad MAGA people.
Remember they're all throwing out because Biden was like he did that.
Extreme MAGA Republicans is what he called them, and they lost their minds.
Yeah, what did he say? It was that Hitler speech he gave. And
And that's how you know that they're not being genuine with this. There is no actual principled position when it comes to what they called out Joe Biden for versus what they're tolerating Trump for. There's nothing there. It's pointless.
Red light. He had his fist up.
They're trolling
red
you.
light. Can I tell you too, real quick, when it comes to
They're
Biden
wasting your
having his
time.
fist up, I don't know if you guys remember this, but this one is indelibly seared into my memory, and it'll probably be one of the last things to go if I ever die of Alzheimer's. It was Biden giving his speech after his victory in 2020. So it was before he was inaugurated, but they had the big victory speech, and then Vice President-elect Harris spoke first, and then she introduced Biden. It was the funniest thing. There's probably clips of it out there. Biden walks out on stage with his masks, and he's well known for his like fist bump or whatever, but he brought both fists up for some reason. And I'm like, are you about to deck Kamala here? It's just the funniest thing. He went up like
He's
this.
just fired up, bro. It's like the Elon Nazi.
He was fired up.
He was.
He was.
2020 Biden was different. Remember when he gave that speech out in the deluge? It was like a torrential downpour, and he didn't die.
No,
you don't remember that?
I don't remember him
bro,
not
come
dying,
on,
yeah.
you remember that? You
I
don't
remember it was
remember?
cold with Bernie and the mittens.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen. So people are asking in chat, was this?
Whoa! Look at that bicep. Wait. Do that again.
Thank you. Stop it. Stop it. That's why I told you that video of Soy Pill is not him. It's his face superimposed digitally on my body. It's really disgusting how he tries to take credit for my gains. But anyway, real quick, let's clean some house here. So people are asking, is it a bait title? Literally cleaning out. No, it's not. I am leaving. And I want to be very clear about this, because I'll be honest with you, when I was like in between videos and I checked Twitter and everyone's like, he's leaving because of Hutch, this last conversation with Hutch. I'm like, I was like gonna wait to tell everybody why, or the audience why, but I had to like post like a bunch of disclaimers. So let's go ahead and establish the timeline here. And Pisco and Hutch are the ones who can probably establish it the most, because it actually preceded IRI and Soy Pill. But at the time of Econoboy leaving, I was also thinking about leaving as well. This was something that's been discussed for weeks.
Months, right?
I guess. How long has it been since Econoboy?
Maybe weeks. Maybe
months,
weeks.
Well, however long it was since Econoboy left. I was thinking about it, because you got to remember at that time, there was so much drama going on that Pisco was doxxed, Hutch was doxxed, I was doxxed. I think Econoboy was worried he was going to get doxxed. And so there was that shit going on, and it was just really soul crushing. I'll be honest with you. I took Econoboy quitting the online sphere very, very hard, because, you know, Pisco's been up and coming for the past year. Hutch is doing his thing. Econoboy was gaining momentum slowly but surely. He was on Tim Pool. And with Econoboy not just leaving the show, but quitting online politics, I really took that as a blow to the space, because I'm sure you would all agree, Econoboy, even if you didn't agree with his policies, as a debater and a communicator specifically for economics, or liberal or leftist economics, he was a really strong voice, kind of like how Pisco has been for the law niche. I felt like Econoboy was going to fill that for like the economics niche or whatever. And so like lose it, I just took it really personally.
I didn't watch enough of his
and of
content
course,
to
I'm
really
married now.
say
And
that.
so when the doxing thing happened, I'm like, okay, it's not just me, it's my wife.
He was too quiet on Live and Learn.
And so
for me to
all
say.
of that was factored in, and Pisco and Hutch were like, well, just listen, let's see, you know, let's get some more hosts and let's see how it goes. And I've had fun, but it's just not been the same. And Hutch leaving right here, this is exactly this lack of support. That's the reason I'm building up to.
He's fist pumping right now. Like,
he is.
Yes!
He's pumping in more ways than one, if you know what I mean. His fists are full. But I've done this off and on, and I've had a good time with you guys. But the other thing too is time. And so I've been very privileged in terms of the success of YouTube, and my channel, but I'm still a one-man show. And with all due respect to Luke and Adam, And I think even Jack, they get a lot, like they have a lot of help. They've hired people, like they have editors and producers, and I'm still a one-man show. So I crank out 5 to 8 videos a day. I do all my own research, all the recording, the editing, the upload, the SEO, the thumbnail. And so I'm glued to my desk at all times. And so that's also a problem. So I'm sitting down a lot and I'm not taking care of myself. And I realize, holy shit, I haven't eaten in 6 hours. And so I DoorDash the quickest shit. And so I've gained weight, and it's just all of it factoring in together. And before I started doing this full time, not only was I in very good shape, but I also had a very active social life, which I used to be really proud of. And so instead of going out with my friends or, 2 or 3 times a week, if I see them once a month, it's a fucking miracle. So for all that reason, I need to claw back the 2 hours I spend usually here on Live and Learn, especially because I'm not a good streamer. Like I do all my shit pre-recorded, and the audience kind of bears it out. I get 20 million views per month, and I can only pull like 200 concurrents. Like my audience is not interested in my live streaming. So all of it together, this was kind of the weakest link. So I feel that, the rest of the Live and Learn crew, they're better suited for this, and I can get those 90 to 120 minutes back and, either spend it with my wife or friends or go to the gym or whatever. So I'm trying to like trim the fat as much as I possibly can. And the last thing I'll say is like, again, regarding my disagreements with Pisco and Hutch, that happens and it can get intense. And yes, they can annoy the fuck out of me in the moment, but I love these guys. And I wouldn't be in their chats as much as I am. And this was actually what I was hinting at with Hutch. We were, I think, both trying not to give the game away during our last conversation when I told him, like, this is part of the problem. I can sit here and we can rant or talk for like 3 hours when I should have been recording. And I can't remember, Hutch, if you felt this way, but I felt like there was a moment where we were trying not to go ahead and reveal that I made the decision to leave by that point. So, so that's the problem when people ask, well, are you gonna still like pay attention to their chats or jump in? Probably. But that's part of the problem. I have very poor impulse control. And so
Oscar,
I can get one guide and I can get roped into these 3-hour conversations and like totally ignore my other responsibilities. So I really got to step back. And that's all I'll say. I still love these guys, donate a shit ton of money to them. So they have my support. And that's it.
You just said you get 20 million views.
Hello,
on
Oscar.
YouTube
Hello,
a month, right?
Oscar. Hello.
Yeah, you can probably
Oscar,
donate
hello.
more then, right?
Hello, Oscar.
That's really what we're doing.
Really?
I should think from TwitchCon, he said I said something stupid. He dropped his phone and broke it, so he donated $100 to me. I'm like, dude, buy a new phone. Like,
Thank you.
No.
Thank
I
you.
got to tell you that too.
Thank
So
you.
that was funny. So it was again. So when I get some free time or whatever, if I'm like walking or if I'm doing anything that doesn't require my full attention, and sometimes when it does, I'll have Pisco in, or I'll have Hutch in, I'll have IRI in, I'll have Soy Pill in. I've been in your chats a lot of times and donoing, and I guess it was this past weekend. I was, and it happened again. Like every time I'm like done cleaning the bathroom, because this happened with Pisco too. I have Soy Pill in my ear, and I put the phone in my pocket, or I tried to. I have it in my hand, and I'm walking down the steps, and I hear Soy Pill say to a female co-host, "Hey, look at this hog." Or so he does. He says, "Hey, look at this hog." And so I drop my phone, and the phone clatters down the steps, and it breaks my privacy screen. Anyway, and he was talking about, he was talking about a fat Republican.
The young Republicans. We were looking at those guys who had their texts leaked, and
but it threw me the fuck off when he said,
you and Soy Pill's hog and Hutch and Soy Pill's ass. I mean, we have some major HR complaints, which is another reason you're leaving.
And he said it to a female co-host too.
Dad penis? Like whose cock is Hutch's dad looking at? Was it Hutch's cock or?
Wait, it was a joke. Hutch said a joke about his penis, but anyway,
right.
I want to say to Josiah, I've said multiple times over the course of our collaboration, Live and Learn, I kind of view you as a mentor in this space. I really enjoyed, all the time that you've given to Live and Learn, even when it's tough for your schedule. You work like really crazy. But yeah, I just want to say I super appreciate that. I don't suspect that this will be the last of your collaborations with us. I'm sure you'll hop on stream a bunch. And so, yeah, just best of luck. And thanks again for, this whole thing was your idea initially. And so appreciate you.
Yeah.
Let me jump in and also say that I don't exactly remember. I think I met you because of a WIC panel you jumped on afterwards. I'm not sure how we started hanging out with each other, but you quickly became like one of my favorite people in the space. And, we chat offline constantly. And So I value you as a friend and as like a veteran who's been doing this shit for like a really long time. You have to protect your mental. And so, I reached out to you and I was like, is this about the drama? And you said it was about time. And so like, if it's about that, then I fully support it, but you will be missed. And I appreciate the conversations we've had. And I think you contribute a lot to this dynamic. And so
I appreciate it. And I do want to underscore that before obviously IRI and Soy Pill give their very passionate speeches that I'm sure they prepared. And I expect it to be fucking powerful, gentlemen. I will say, like, one of the things that I try to do in this space, coming from like a real normie background is, like my introduction to it was obviously through DGG and the canvassing stuff and whatever. And there's so much of the lore about streaming in general and about specific streamers that I didn't get. And so even though I tried to be friendly with everybody, I did not consider everybody that I met friends per se. They were work buddies for the most part. But the difference is, so I can say this especially with Pisco and Hutch, I think with IRI and Soy Pill too, especially IRI when we were at the DNC together, to me, the measure of a friend is will you talk about shit besides work? And obviously work for us is politics, streaming, content creation. And, Pisco, I hung out with Pisco when I took my wife to New York City. He met my wife. They hit it off. We went to not a Hornets
Sex
game.
in the City.
Liberty. Well, hang on. We had the Liberty game, and then before that, we went on the Sex in the City tour. We drank Cosmopolitans like Carrie and Miranda and everybody else. Hutch and I have had conversations where he's given me advice, like, even about like the doxing thing, for example. Like he because he's had experience with this shit. Like I was really freaking out about my wife. He called me and talked me down from the ledge and stuff like that. IRI and I have had conversations ranging from, what he did before politics all the way to his skincare routine, because this guy's in his fucking 40s and he looks half that age, right?
And he's shaved and he looks better. He looks even like younger now.
Yeah, it's insane. And then Soy Pill and I recently we've just now connected. He's the most recent connection I've made. But like we text off and on and shit like that. And so I do consider all of you friends, not just work buddies. And so I kind of the same thing with the Econo Boy too. We still hear from him. So, yeah.
Well, I'll just say it's unfortunate won't get to hang out with you because I was excited to get to chill with you every week. But we had a blast at the DNC, and I know I can hit you up anytime, and you're not going anywhere. You'll be around. And listen, I want to say to you, if you choose to take Mondays and do jack shit, sit on your ass, you have my support, buddy. Please don't feel any pressure to do anything. If you want to be in the comments the whole podcast hanging out, you do whatever the hell you want, buddy, because it's your life and we support you no matter what you do.
I appreciate it, bro. I really do. All right, Soy Pill, go ahead. Yeah, knock it out the park.
I mean, on my end, it's been so quick. It feels like when you join a new job and your boss quits 3 weeks in, and they're like, "Thanks for taking my spot, idiot." Like I'm out of here. But no, in all honesty, like you did feel like the dad of the podcast. I really did appreciate your energy and like the control that you had over it. And I mean, it's not like it didn't run when you were gone, but I missed that, like that presence of like, all right, you're doing it right now. You're in between Hutch and Pisco, and you're like, guys, stop. So we got big shoes to fill, and I'm going to do my best to fill them. And I really appreciate everything you did and having me on. And I know you're not going anywhere. You're still in the space. If you were leaving politics, I would come to your house and slap you, but you're just leaving a podcast, and that's fine. So
yeah, no, 100%. Like, yeah, at this point, I really do like, all the stuff we talk about the rise of fascism or whatever. And like, I'm sure as we're going to get into for the remainder of the pod, like shit's getting worse. And so again, I understand why Econo Boy did what he did. I understand his many reasons for doing so. I'm not prepared to make those decisions. This is truly my job and everything else. But I really think shit has already hit the fan. I think it's going to hit the fan even more. And we're not even, I guess today we are officially 9 months into the Trump administration because he was inaugurated on January 20th. And it feels like 9 fucking years. So with that in mind, let's dedicate the rest of the time to politics itself. What about the No Kings protest? Can we start there? First off, I don't know, and if any of you want to say that you did or didn't, I did go to mine here in Charlotte. Did anybody else participate in a No Kings protest in person?
Yep. I wasn't able to, but I did in a little way.
You did?
Because one of the band members wore a No King shirt.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, no, I didn't even. I was stoked. I was like, bro, that's huge because that took planning.
I didn't participate. I personally didn't participate in a No Kings protest, but I did drive by one and I did a thumbs up to them.
And it made the whole band seem like they were, for the protest. So I thought that was cool, and I was on stage with
So
him
cool,
while
though.
he was wearing that. So okay, a little
That's
part,
awesome.
I guess.
I mean, that got outreach, right? And
I
Soypo,
went to
you
the
said
one
you
in
did?
San Diego, and this isn't like a doomer thing, but I remember why I don't go to some of these protests because they're so unorganized sometimes. I wish this is what it should be. It should just be everyone goes out with their signs, marches, shows their face, and all that. But they had this like thing where they were, like having different speakers speak, and the audio wasn't very good, and it was a bunch of people like, all right, here's the 7 minutes of like, Native American tribe music to honor the fact that we're on stolen land, and I'm like, guys, come on, can we just do the quick like, let's hate Trump, let's do it, and let's go home. And also, it's the same as the first No King. So as much as I'm happy that everyone went out and support and showed like, hey, we're not okay with this. Man, Democrats, it's organized better. Come on.
Can I tell you something too? You mentioned the speeches, and so I don't know if any of you had this thought, but I know I did. I deliberately timed it so that I was getting there when the speeches were wrapping up, not because they weren't important, but I'll be honest with you, the Charlie Kirk thing still kind of fucks with me. And this being an outdoor, like it was an outdoor event, and yes, police were there, but it's not like they were standing behind plexiglass or whatever. And so like, the speakers there, in my opinion, took a risk. I was actually quite frankly surprised because I guess in LA, Brian Tyler Cohen actually spoke on stage too. And I'm thinking to myself, like, people are bold to do that in this day and age. And given how much in advance, which I'd also like us to talk about, MAGA Republicans from Trump to Mike Johnson, everyone in between, were calling it fucking hate America rallies, right? Like if you want to prime people to take literal or metaphorical shots at no kings, that would be the rhetoric you use.
Well, I was going to say one positive thing, the amount of American flags I saw there, which is really good optics, because the people were there like, I love this country, not I hate America. I love this country and I want it to not be ruled by a dictator. I will say that was very nice. But I don't know. I'm on the IRI train on this one now, Josiah. I don't think anyone cares about Charlie Kirk anymore. So I think you are overly worrying. In fact, Charlie who? What happened?
No, I don't. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
You have to live your life like you can't just it's like the terrorism thing. You can't let it affect how you're gonna do your day to day. I will say one thing. I want to take a shot at Ryan Mullally and these other people who are like, "Hey guys, congratulations! It appears there's no more kings." Who are like deliberately misunderstanding the purpose of like the No Kings March. It isn't presupposing that we currently have a king. It isn't saying that we are in a state where like there's an actual monarch. It's calling out obviously the authoritarian tendencies that resemble what a king might do in Trump. And so I just find it incredibly fucking annoying when I see all like, oh guys, we don't have any kings anymore. It's like, dude, can you stop being Amelia Bedelia about the fucking name of this protest?
They're just being purposefully obtuse, I think. Like this. Well, he was duly elected, and there was a peaceful transfer of power. And it's like, okay, well, there's a lot of stuff that happened in between and after that. But you just want to focus on the process of him being elected, I suppose.
And it's Biden to thank for the fucking peaceful transfer of powers, precisely because Democrats were doing the transfer, that there was a peace. I remember, I don't know if you guys caught this, but the Free Press, which now apparently controls CBS, before the election, a couple of days, Barry Weiss moderated a debate between Ben Shapiro and Sam Harris, and it was interesting. I mean, it was a really good one. Harris cleaned Ben's clock, and it was about
Hell Puppy says, who is the replace host for Live and Learn going to be, SFO or Wick? Hell, why not give Connor a try? Honestly, like, Connor would not be the worst. he would at least make this more interesting than just like fucking four libs talking to each other. SFO, honestly, SFO would be a little bit more like anti-middle of the road, I guess. Maybe? Question mark?
And Trump. And Sam Harris said, he goes, the thing has been, and he put together this really interesting thought experiment. He goes, we don't know how the election's going to go, but he goes, I just want you just to take this sentence and tell me, based on this sentence, who probably won. On January 6th, that there is a peaceful transfer of power with no protest. In that situation, who probably won? And even Shapiro was forced to admit that, okay, in that hypothetical where we don't know who won, we can infer it was probably Trump who won, because if the opposite occurred, there would be all kinds of shit going down. So it's funny for me that they're trying to take credit for that.
Sam Harris is like a really extreme example of a mixed bag, because sometimes he really does come out with these brilliant arguments. And then there's other times where he comes out with like an op-ed blaming like trans issues for Kamala's loss. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I just want to say,
I was just gonna say, is he
I
the one
would
who wrote the article like, should we preemptively nuclear bomb a country in the Middle East?
it sounds like something he might have written, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Aria. Sorry.
I was gonna say I would have gone to a No Kings protest, but I was busy with the festival all weekend. That being said, Hutch and I went to the first one, and we had a blast, and we had American flags, and I was also happy to see all the flags. I think people made a point of bringing flags because, you know, patriotism goes both ways, and I do think the left needs to step it up with overt displays of patriotism because people think we're not patriotic. I guess you have to show people nowadays, but the thing I was impressed by was the numbers, 7 million plus. And I actually thought there'd be less people coming out for No Kings 2.
Right.
But I think what happened was what happened to me. When Trump was first elected, I saw the Women's March and I didn't even know it was happening. I wasn't that into politics. And I was like, holy shit, 1 million people came out. I'm going to the next one. And then the travel ban came and there were protests. So I went out. So I think people saw the No Kings protest and then said, okay, I'm going to the next big thing. And, you know, we've had protests in LA, DC, Chicago, but this was the first nationwide everybody come out. So it was cool to see so many people pissed off.
It's really, I think, really important for people to go to at least like one protest, especially in the era of Trump, because even though we're not really expecting to extract any kind of policy concessions from the administration or the Republican Party, what it does is it reminds you of how connected you are to other people that share your contempt, your frustration, your anger.
Yeah, it allows you to network. It reminds you that there are people that feel the same way as you, and they exist in a system. Yeah.
And that can go a long way into sustaining energy going into like special elections and midterm elections. It sends a powerful message to the administration that no matter how much they want to pretend like he has this mandate from heaven and he's this beloved president with like 80% approval ratings, you know, when you have the largest, well, I guess second largest, because Earth Day in the 70s was like 20 million people or something like that. But, you know, when you have this many people that are demonstrating, it just sends a clear message to your fellow countrymen, but also other people in other countries as well who take inspiration from American activism. And, you know, this stuff really matters. And so it is performative, but it can go a long way to help fight the black pill right now.
Well, it matters because before.
Hey, your audio.
Your mic just went way down for some reason.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Oh yeah. Better.
Whoa, don't go too loud.
Why is it doing? Something's going on with my audio and my settings. Hang on one second. You guys keep talking. I'll figure it out.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, Hutch, you're totally right that it's like this sends a message, because if it didn't, Trump wouldn't post an AI video saying, look, me shitting all over these people. Like, this clearly bothers him to some extent and is the most, you know, tangible look. There's millions of people out in the streets saying, I hate you. I think that means a lot.
Like, why are they posting like insane amounts of misinformation about the size of the protests? Like, did you guys see the photo from Boston? Like, hella, like dozens of like big, you know, right-wing accounts got crazy amounts of engagement.
Congress people, Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz posted it, and it's just complete. Like, first of all, this is not something that's even superficially plausible. Like, it's just to remind you that when we're talking about MAGA enthusiasts, these people are just simply just like not very bright. The idea that MSNBC would fake a live feed, something that would be so easily disprovable, and in their minds that's plausible. We're dealing with people that ate a lot of lead or whatever. I don't know, but they're like cognitively limited.
Pretty much.
But the point is like they wouldn't be doing that if the sides of the crowds didn't bother them. The only reason they're doing that is to try to dispel the idea that a lot of people were protesting.
It is what it
and
is.
You saw the other attacks, right? They're like, look at all these old people. Look at this retirement home.
Right.
It's like, hey, who do you think fucking votes, idiot?
I love seeing.
I want you to imagine that it was. Imagine that the protests are mostly. Why is it doing this? Imagine that the protests are mostly non-white. Imagine how they would have responded then. Right.
Yeah.
They would have said it's not white enough. It's, you know, this is, you know, these are Soros funded, Soros backed minorities. We need more of white representation. So it's like, no matter what you do, they're just going to bitch about it. And I guess that's my point is, as I try to figure out this audio setting, that's how we know this was a big deal, because if it were me, I would have to think, okay, after No Kings, if I really wanted to try to undermine the impact of it, I wouldn't fucking talk about it the day after. Every time that they had, like, Mike Johnson had his charts and all this other shit, and like you are keeping no kings in the news by having such an absurd reaction to it. You know,
you just made your little wine mom point, which is, what if January 6th were a bunch of Muslims? What, you would have shot them all. You're saying that if they were all black people, MAGA would have done what exactly?
I said if they were all black, that they would have bitched it wasn't white enough. Like, what I'm saying is they prefer a bunch of white people, right? Like, they tend to be associated with white nationalism and white supremacism, and their complaint is it was too white. If it were too brown, they would have bitched about that.
Yeah.
Josiah, in your audio settings, do you have the
automatic gain?
Yeah, automatic gain.
No,
control?
like it was fine until I don't know what happened between like now and the past like 2 minutes.
Maybe try turning it on, because like I have it turned on.
Is your big hog resting on the dial? Move it over, dude.
Possibly.
Let's see here. All right, keep going while I figure this shit out.
Yeah, no, but I think the protests are a good sign. I'm glad it was mostly peaceful. I'm glad that you know, the Prop 50. I forget where that was, that they in California they did that. The big like vote yes on Prop 50 made of human bodies. I thought that was really cool too. And I thought Gavin Newsom has been pretty based this week.
But didn't that just demonstrate to you that it was an organized, paid-for protest? They wouldn't have spontaneously formed the words "yes" on Prop 50. And I don't know if you saw this piece go, a very large piece of paper that no one person could ever afford. So this is clearly a funded thing. I myself did receive a Soros check in the mail to go. So
yeah, it was organized. That's insane, by the way, that like we would have organized protest. And by the way, folks, for those of you who are trying to, you know, attend these rallies, I would encourage you for sure to like not, because I have some people in my chat, and I don't feel like I need to say there's a lot of people in my chat, but like, don't fight with police and don't get violent and stuff. I think it looks bad, and I think the contrast
Did that
that we saw.
happen?
No, I'm just saying in the future, like I have some people who are like LARPing sometimes, who like come on my stream and like, we need to do more. We can't just be like, I think you need to fully try peaceful protest and stop doing this LARPing about like we need to gun up and we need to like enforce the Second Amendment or whatever. Because I saw that even recently I was talking about the military troop deployments and like, when are liberals going to start exercising their Second Amendment rights? And I just this is, I think, how it should be done.
I was going to say,
like Graham Blattner from like 5 years ago or something.
Oh, what did he say?
Similar
Did he say
stuff. Pretty much
fuck.
that. Like he said something about like, yeah. We're gonna
did he say he was a communist? Was there like a Reddit comment attributed to him where he said he was a communist?
He did, but no, he did say something like, you know,
he has a
we
podcast
got to think about like guns or whatever. But like on that topic though, I felt like he did a fucking phenomenal job of owning that. Like I just feel like we're gonna have more and more candidates who have been super online, you know, like Gen X and younger. Like these are going to be people that have like a larger footprint when it comes to their social media feeds. And
so do you feel comfortable running for office now? I know that was for the longest time, Hutch. Wait a minute. For the longest time, that was one of the things you would say. Well, like, listen, I've said some shit and I've done some shit. Like, hey,
he's been saying that the past couple days.
I don't want to wake up early and go to meetings all day. Fuck that.
Are you kidding me? They're on a fucking.
I have so much freedom in my
life. They're on a
life.
vacation right now. What are you talking about? The government's shut down. They're not doing shit.
No,
That
but
should be an amazing
seriously
politician.
though, what he did though, I mean,
That's
I'm sure
not
you
a
guys
good
probably agree.
thing.
Like that's you know, I don't know if I feel like he's probably fucked in Maine, to be honest with you. I don't know if he can weather
In the
that
primary or in the general.
In the primary, yeah. I don't.
It's one of those things where they learned the Teflon Don strategy, which is like, if it's really not that bad, just don't apologize. It's not worth it. Just say, "Yep, that's who I am," and this is who I am now.
That's not Teflon Don. Teflon Don is even when it's really, really incredibly bad. Don't apologize for it.
Yeah, but I mean, at least a step in the right direction, and not like, oh, you did like a kind of off-color joke. Now step down and abdicate all power, which is like, we can't be doing that anymore.
The Trump strat of saying, you know, doubling and tripling down works for his base of lunatics, but like a left-wing base is going to be totally different, and so you can't really get away with that necessarily.
I don't know about that.
What about the guy in Virginia? People are like, we shouldn't support him. We shouldn't support him. It's like, fuck you. He's our candidate. We're gonna support him.
I mean, I would vote.
I'm not denouncing that guy at all. I don't give a shit what he said. He's I would candidate.
He was texting IRI when those texts leaked. That was IRI was on the other.
Fuck them kids.
Oh my God,
Jesus!
I'm kidding. I'm just saying. He said sorry. He was a private citizen. you know, he's our candidate. We got to defend these guys, man. I'm tired of this shit. What are we going to lose? Oh, well, he said something 3 years ago. We're going to give seed control for 4 years to the Republicans off some text messages. Nah.
For me, it's kind of like similar to the response to the Charlie Kirk stuff, where it's like, you condemn the statement. I think it's a bad statement, and I think it should not have been said. But if the choice is between a MAGA Republican and a Democrat, to me, it's not going to be moving the needle sufficient for me to vote for a MAGA Republican. That's crazy. Now, if I had reason to believe that he actually killed someone, or that he was going to institute a policy that was going to kill people, or anything like that, I mean, yeah, that might be different. But like, I don't want to hear from MAGA Republicans, there's some moral stance that anytime your candidate says something fucking abhorrent, you can't vote for them.
Yeah, because there'd be no MAGA candidate left. I mean, well, that's an interesting segue too, because IRI talks about, whether or not we should disavow or denounce Jay Jones. So I don't know if you all caught it. I'm sure some of you did. Did you guys see Adam Mockler's a News Nation town hall appearance where he just fucking humiliated Charlie Kirk's producer sidekick?
It was embarrassing.
Yeah, and that thing, that particular topic was one of many that came up, and Mockler, without hesitation, because Colvett went for the gotcha. He's like, well, "What about the Virginia Attorney General?" He's like, "Yeah, I condemn it." Well, do other Democrats condemn it?
But it's okay to condemn it, but we shouldn't abandon support for the candidate. It's like, yeah, that was stupid. He apologized. I wouldn't support that, but he's still my candidate. Are you kidding me? It's even better that he apologized. I support him even more now.
It would be my preference if he had stepped down, I think, but if he was on
it's too late.
I mean, I could be persuaded into. Oh, is it too late? Is it literally too late?
Its election is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know. I didn't love those text messages. Those were awful. But I mean, yeah, I would definitely still vote for him and encourage other people to vote for him.
I'm gonna be honest.
It wasn't great.
This is extremely
like you said, everybody's
fucking
gonna be able to
boring.
dig up something about somebody
Holy
as time
shit.
goes on, especially now.
I didn't
that
watch
these
this
younger
live beforehand. I should have actually
I don't know,
timestamped
man.
this
He was
shit.
talking about how the guy's kids needed to be taken care of. That's a bit much.
He's saying something horrible.
I am so glad this podcast is
it shouldn't
dying.
have
This
been
is
said, and it's fucked
absolutely
up.
fucking
But it was-
worthless. This is
but it was
absolutely fucking pointless. There's
It
nothing
was private,
here.
but that
does that make any difference,
So
Pisco?
were the
It was private.
Republican. So were the Republican texts.
Who
No,
among
there's
us
a
hasn't
group chat
said
with
some
the-
heinous locker room things?
Okay,
that
hold on.
I feel like that
Hold
makes it
on.
worse, right? Because the guy gave him an
telling me-
opportunity to
Let
clarify.
IRI make his case. Let him make his case.
All right.
Let me piss off people, all right? Let me piss off the audience. So one-on-one, you say certain things is the same as like a group chat with like 20, 30 people.
I don't know
would
if it's the
disagree.
same. I don't think they're the same thing, but I mean, I would say that they're private group chats between a select group of people, and I'm not really going to make a categorical distinction there. If it were generally accessible, perhaps I might think differently about that, or if anyone could reasonably get it. But this was like a purposeful leak of people who they didn't expect that this would be available to
I
the
don't know.
general
I'm
public.
smelling
So,
some hypocrisy here with the Republican leaks. It's like, look, this is an indication of what they believe outside of their private conversations, and I can see how that might reflect poorly. Now, it is too late for him to step down. It's like, okay, at this point, maybe he should apologize, or if he could be replaced. But I think this matters in terms of looking at their character, but it depends on who your opponent is. And I go out and I say, look, I actually respect the MAGA Republicans if they would just say, look, I want Trump policy more. I don't give a shit that he did Epstein stuff because that doesn't reflect on the policies he's going to pass that I want. If they just said that, they won't because they're like the anti-Epstein crowd. But the personal stuff, as if it doesn't reflect on the policies you wanted to pass, I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter to me nearly as much.
I'll also. I'm sorry.
just-
I gotta throw this in here. I'm sorry because I don't know. You guys say it's too late, but I think that we have the ultimate relief pitcher when a candidate has to step down late in the game. Kamala Harris for Virginia Attorney
New
General.
book, 14 days.
I thought you said president.
That's the sequel. Instead of 107 days, it's 14 days. Yeah, I'm sorry.
All
go
this
ahead.
is happening also at a time where the right is kind of having their own, should we disavow the extremist moment right now? And you have people like Matt Walsh and other extremely mainstream Republicans that are just straight up saying, yes, we should allow Nazis into the coalition. I don't know if you guys saw any of that discourse, but they're talking about that right now. And a lot of people on the right are in agreement with him that they are fine with Nick Fuentes types and literal white supremacists.
Guys, did you not see Megyn Kelly's fucking tweet at Tim Miller like 3 weeks ago?
What did she say?
One of the most mask off, unhinged shit I've ever seen. It was when the Tom Homan allegations came out about the $50,000 in the Kava bag.
Oh yeah,
she's like, I don't care what anyone on the right does because look at all my grievances with the left. That whole tirade, essentially.
Bro, fucking.
I don't care if you take a bribe or something, right?
You know, it's a really interesting conversation to listen to about this is a conversation that Ezra Klein had with this. It's like the leader of like national conservatism. He wrote a book on like a new kind of resurgent nationalism. JD Vance invoked him in a speech, and I don't remember when this interview was from, but it's like an hour and a half, and the guy just very kind of clearly lays out their logic. And you know, at the end of the day, like very simply, they straight up fully believe that, you know, the left, like the entire left, are like an existential or representative of like the median demographic.
Oh, obviously, yeah. I'm sorry.
We can get into it more, but yeah, let's hear it.
All right, what was your position?
All right, I'm gonna be honest. I thought this was a little bit more engaging. I'm gonna clip this shit up tomorrow and actually like engage with this. There's a lot of shit that Hutch has been saying lately. Okay. Hutch has been positioning himself as if he is a gatekeeper of left-wing policy, as a do-nothing, no degree holding guy in front of a computer screen, right? And basically what he does this entire podcast, and I've listened to this like while I'm doing something else. I think I was listening to it like over the weekend, and there's just like Live and Learn is so dry. I don't miss Live and Learn at all. However, I do dislike the way that Hutch used this particular Live and Learn to do his typical brand of liberal gatekeeping, where he is not actually making a meaningful prescription. He's not actually tying his opinions to reality. He has way too high of a deference to polling and everything like that. And he's essentially saying Democrat politicians can't be espousing these policies because they're not popular. However, he himself is a Democratic media person, right? So what benefit is there to him being a gatekeeper of this? Democrat politicians are going to side with what is safe. They're going to side with populist policy. They're going to side with things that are popular with the larger public. If there is information, if there is rhetoric, if there is something that needs to be laundered to the public to make them more favorable to a policy that is necessary to get our entire governmental structure back on track, that is your position as a, like, you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose in advocating for these things. Like, ugh. Yeah. No. Like, Thorns. The real thing that I want to get across, and why I want to just kind of clip this up, and like why I'm kind of just like, okay, I didn't actually prepare this segment. This was like the end of the stream segment where like I had a lot less to say about this because it's just kind of a slog. I want to go through and clip a bunch of the things that Hutch has been saying lately about why he's punching left. Because what I saw from the right wing, as somebody who was like basically a libertarian, like super ideologically pure, like fiscally conservative person for most of my life, what I saw the right wing do was not push back against those ideas and say like, this isn't tenable, this is going to destroy the economy, or even when it came to like super alt-right people with like race realism and shit like that. The right wing, the center, like the GOP, after Trump won the nomination in 2016, the GOP had this really effective strategy of just disavow, don't get into it, and move on. And what the left, or what the liberal center has been doing to the left wing that has actual good, effective policies that will resonate with Americans, just the same way that a lot of these crazy right-wing policies have resonated to Americans, right? And some of them might actually be actionable just the same way that fucking alt-right policies have been actionable by the current administration. Left-wing policies can be actionable by a more center democratic like establishment. But all we need to do is not spend time disavowing them ideologically. All we need to say is, I don't support that. I'm not that person. Here are the policies that I'm supporting. But guess what? I'm not going to spend time saying why I totally fucking ideologically disagree with the more radical elements of my party. Because maybe I don't. Because guess what? They might have more, okay, the more radical elements of my party might be in a position where they can have more extreme ideological takes on shit. They might be able to engage in experimental thinking of policy decisions that I can't engage in. They might be able to take on policy positions that I can't take on. Why the fuck do I need to waste my time disavowing them? Do they actually pose an ideological risk to my political project? No, they don't. There's no meaningful political power in America that's going to be able to enact a destruction of capitalism, a destruction of markets. Nobody's going to actually get rid of the actual concept of currency. I'm a libertarian. I love monetarism. I think that's an interesting system of distributing wealth efficiently throughout the populace. Guess what? I'm not fucking worried about socialism suddenly taking over. Because people like money. People understand that same thing that I understand, that markets are a useful tool. And even if we were going to engage in a society that was structured around a more post-scarcity system where we didn't have to worry about distributing commodities in a system of need, okay? Even if we didn't have to do that. Or even if we were getting towards that system, we would still see the benefit of markets for determining the value of things that aren't commodities. Capitalism is their number one concern in Americans. And that's the crazy thing, right? I know so many liberals. I know like lifelong liberals who were impacted by the fucking failures of neoliberalism, impacted by the fucking selling out of American consumer, like, culture to all these... I could rant forever about this. Listen, I witnessed this. That basically, people who understood that it was bad to judge people based off the color of their skin or the sex that they were assigned at birth or anything like that. I grew up seeing people that understood that, but they still judged people based off their ability to succeed in a capital-driven system. And I'm just like, if you understand that the racism and the sexism that you hate is not destroyed in this world, if you rely on that capital-driven system, you're relying on a system of the lowest common denominator. Like, you're going to be driving people into more racist and sexist behaviors by relying on that fucking system. Ah, fuck's sake. Fuck's sake. Alright, guys. Okay, I'm gonna rate out for tonight. We are hitting about 4 hours. I'm going to rate out for tonight. I do have a bigger Hutch piece. I've been collecting clips and everything like that. I want to go all in on Hutch. I'm feeling like I want to go all in on Hutch. I want to use the energy that I have right now to just, like, assemble all this shit. Because what I really dislike about what he's doing right now is that he's not actually appreciating his position as a media person when it comes to changing the overall democratic environment that we exist in, right? He should not be vocally pushing back against the idea of court packing because it's unpopular. Because we know it's unpopular already. It's polling unpopular. But if you understand that there is a benefit to that being a policy that enough Democratic voters can get behind, you should be supporting it. Because it is what we need to do. Because we do have a Supreme Court that is against us as people that believe in this union, believe in this, in the fucking... I don't know. Anyways, I'm running out of steam, so I'm gonna rate out. Thank you guys all so much for coming through. We're gonna finish this, like I said. I got into this, and I'm like, I don't want to go into it half-baked, and it's a long video. I don't want to just make you guys sit through the entirety of it. There's a lot of other streams going on right now, but we will get back into it tomorrow, hopefully earlier. We're gonna rate out to somebody. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you so much, Salty, for donating. I'm going to make you your emote. Let's go ahead and raid out to... Nah, let's forget about the straight raid, because I didn't do enough of the political content. She's a lot better at analyzing it. Also, she's much hotter than I am. She's very Halloween coded today, so let's go and do that. Say hello to straight raid. enjoy the content. She's going over Kyle Kalinske. There were I don't know if it was this Kyle Kalinske video that I was going to go over tomorrow. No, not this one, but another one. But I just wanted to make sure that I had enough to say about it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for showing up. Longer streams coming. Yeah, have a good one. Say hi to Straight Raid. Bye.